Did you ever think I'd run for governor?
Absolutely not.
Did you think I could be governor?
Didn't cross my mind.
Appreciate that confidence.
What has surprised you the most that you're hearing from people?
I would say just how proud everyone is in every part of the state to be Californian. Like almost like you got to be crazy to live anywhere else, but also how scared people are, like really scared.
Yeah, I'm scared.
But what I see across the state is people are optimistic and there's a way for us to get through it.
I think you just got my endorsement.
You ready to do like a public endorsement video?
I don't think you need mine. You have Adam Schiff.
No.
So what do you think voters should know about me besides what they, only seen on TV?
What should they know?
That you're a really great dad. You're a really good husband. I think the kids and I truly can count on you for anything. And
totally.
if I gave you a choice, I'm not sure
girl.
if you would choose to be governor of California or have the 49ers win the Super Bowl.
Ooh, is that funny?
Governor. Definitely being governor of California and making a place where when we retire, it's a place where our kids and everyone's kids can afford to live.
You're going to be a great governor.
Thanks.
No, you won't. Short answer. No, you won't. Oh my God. Wow. That did not age well. That was a real ad that Eric Swalwell put out when he first ran for governor. That was a real ad. I don't know if she's talking to him anymore. I don't even know. Would you be, if he was your husband, would you be talking to him? Would you have thrown him out of the house by now? I don't know. We're going to break down that entire story from you. I'm going to break down how this saga just unfolded and all the shifting landscape. And we're going to talk about just how powerful the Democrat elite are. They're really powerful. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh wait, I think I forgot something. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Fine Program. I am your host, Joe Nierman, aka Good Logic. That was an actual ad for Eric Swalwell for his campaign. He and his wife strolling hand in hand, so lovey-dovey on the boardwalk in California. Oh my God. Yeah, that was not too long ago. Not too long ago at all. So I want to break down, I have to basically spend the night talking about this. But another story that's going on in the news is Savannah Hernandez. She she's a MAGA reporter who was covering anti-ICE protests and got harassed and violently attacked. I mean, violently attacked. Not like Andy No type of thing where like they throw something, they throw like a cement brick at him. But yeah, no, I mean, by the biggest freaking coward, fat coward who attacked her from behind. So we're going to be breaking down because now there's a federal probe that's going in to see whether federal charges should be brought against the perpetrators, the crazy leftist perpetrators. We're going to break down what potential crimes exist there because after all, I'm a lawyer. I should break down for you, hey, what are the potential legal ramifications? You know that if they go to state court, well, first and foremost, you think Ellison, the Minnesota DA is going to be going after? I don't think so. No. So you know it's going to have to be done federally, and then the question is what federal crimes may exist. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to go through that and break down what might potentially be out there. Also, we have a goal tonight. Our goal is if we hit our 15 super chats in quantities of $10 or more, we will I'll cover a third story for you tonight, which will be a long thing for me to break down for you. The third story is actually a very interesting story and a little bit complicated. It's a little bit because it's all these different titles and offices that you may know they exist, but not sure exactly what this function is versus that function. And Tulsi Gabbard has basically been breaking down and exposing a new scandal involving the Democrats and what they did with respect to the first impeachment of Donald Trump. So if we hit tonight's goal, which I see that Mita with a long E is determined to help bring us towards that goal, in that case, I will break down that story for you as well. and actually have you understand just the complete level of corruption and what happened there, like what they did and why it's so corrupt. Because when you first, if you read the story, it's confusing. Even for lawyers, it's confusing. But I imagine for laypersons, they're just like, yeah, what they did was slimy, but you don't really know what happened. You don't really understand it. I will do my best to break it down for you in terms that you understand and can digest. So this way you can be more informed than your friends and family, and maybe help enlighten them. We'll spread the word out further. That's the goal. And that goal is if we hit our goal, which Mita is just coming in, dropping the tens. She's like, come on, Joe. Come on. Give us Tulsi. We want Tulsi. She said, we will have to be on replay crew, but thought I would help with the goal before I go. That's so thoughtful. Thank you, Mita with the long E. You're awesome. Really appreciate that. So there you go. Mita's doing her part. She's doing her part. She's trying. All right. Where are we at with Eric Swalwell? Where are we at? There's so much that's been going on with Eric Swalwell. So much that's been going on with this guy. And I was like, I don't even know where to begin. All right, Mita. Thank you so much again. Much obliged. You're awesome. Everyone give a round of applause for Mita. And I appreciate you catching us on replay. And hopefully when you come to the replay, you'll see it's 3 hours. So we hit our goal. That, folks don't let Mita down. You don't want to let Mita down. That'd be terrible. All right. Where should we start? Well, okay. I guess we started at the very beginning which was with Eric Swalwell announcing that he's running for governor. That's what that was his goal, as you're probably well aware. He's a Democrat congressman who's been in the limelight for quite some time at this point. Probably really erupted after Trump was elected is when I think people started hearing about him. And he was very aggressive in attacking Donald Trump. Very, very aggressive in attacking him. In fact, especially starting with the Russian collusion hoax. He was one of the people who was very, very big in trying to, push that hoax along. Right. Well, the right really enjoyed this moment from him. This moment from him, and this became like an ongoing meme in the political career of Eric Swalwell. If you missed it, you missed it. But I will share it with you. This was the moment for Eric Swalwell that he came onto a lot of people's radar, and not just their radar. I guess he joined them right in their living rooms.
The evidence is uncontradicted that the president used taxpayer dollars to ask the Ukrainians to help him cheat an election. The evidence is uncontradicted that the president used taxpayer dollars to ask the Ukrainians to help him cheat an election.
What this guy over here? What's his name? Chris whatever. I don't remember his name. Whatever. So yeah, he claimed that he slid a cup across the desk at that moment. The pause, right at that pause, you don't see Chris moving. He's the guy who had tingles down his legs from, I don't remember his name, Chris Matthews, yeah. So he had tingles down his legs from Barack Obama. You don't see his arm moving anywhere here. I mean, internet sleuths are like, there ain't no cup he's sliding.
The evidence is uncontradicted that the president used taxpayer dollars.
And you see how he pauses right before.
To ask the Ukrainians to help him cheat an election. The evidence.
It's a weird place to pause if you're not farting. Let's face it. It is. But anyhow. And let's face it, a lot of people would say that should have been the end of his career right then and there. I mean, come on. A name like Swalwell going on national TV and dropping something like that. Well, anyhow, then there were all these different problems that this guy had. There were all these different problems that he had he's all about the viral clip. He loves going to his House committee hearings and basically doing everything he can. to get basically get as many viral moments as possible, because he's a young politician. He understands the power of that is that it helps him stay in office. That's the goal. Here he is with Adam Schiff. Here he is with Adam Schiff, because one of the things he stood for was lying and indecency. And they would go after Trump all the time for his lying and indecency. The lies and the indecency. Tell us about it, Eric.
As I said, if you've just joined or you're came in late, Senator Adam Schiff, a friend, a partner, endorsing our campaign.
Well, first of all, let me say how proud I am to support you, Eric. And, before you got into the race, it was fully my intention to probably stay out of the race. A lot of friends are running. A lot of very, capable people are in this field who, I have great respect for. But there are a couple of things that compelled me. One is that when you got in the race, here was somebody that I'd worked with for over a decade, who I had seen stand up to Donald Trump and stand up to all his MAGA allies, no matter what they threw at you, Eric. And they're attacking you again now because they fear that you'll be successful in this race, and they don't want a powerful person in the governor's office once again to stand up to this president.
We'll get through this. We're better than he is. And you often like to quote our colleague Elijah Cummings, the late Elijah Cummings, who would say, we are better than this. And that's just how I see our state, and that's how I see our country.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. During the first impeachment trial, and you did such a magnificent job in the second one, I made an appeal to my fellow senators that we could not leave a man like this in power. First of all, we had proven him guilty of what he was charged with, but
no, you hadn't. You literally had the most fabricated evidence imaginable. So if you had the goods on him, I'm just saying, if you had the goods on him, I don't think you would have to fabricate evidence. I think you would have allowed, for like cross-examination. I don't think that your hardcore evidence, these are two prosecutors. I know that Swalwell is a former prosecutor. He mentions that all the time. I think that Schiff also is a former prosecutor. And they know that they were submitting evidence that no court would ever allow to come in. I mean, just ridiculous hearsay, and talk about the second impeachment especially. Oh my God, it was crazy, the stuff that they brought in. There was such abuse of power that they engaged in. In fact, that's part of what I'll be covering if, in fact, we hit our goal tonight, which Mita with the long E is trying to push us, is the abuse of power by this clown over here, this guy who actually looks like a human penis. So we'll talk about once you say it, once it's plant, that seed is planted in your head, it doesn't leave. You're like, you can't unsee it. I apologize for being so coarse because it's a family show, but once that image is planted in your head, it's very, very hard to let go of it. Anyhow, so yeah, we'll go into the corruption of this schmuck, and I mean that literally. I mean that kind of literally. Yeah. Well, anyhow, so here he is, the men of integrity here.
This was somebody who couldn't tell the truth. He was just incapable of telling the truth. He did not know right from wrong, and he was fundamentally indecent. And
these are the two most decent men right here.
And it wasn't that the senators should remove him because he was indecent and he couldn't tell right from wrong and he couldn't tell the truth, and those things didn't matter all to him, but because they mattered to my colleagues, I appealed to them that he is not who you are. Well,
really? Really? Yeah, maybe.
Sadly, there are plenty of them who I guess he is who they are.
Yeah, I don't think that aged too well. No, it didn't. Didn't age very well at all. So, and the sick thing is, they all knew that he was a terrible human being. They all knew it. They knew for a long time. I mean, he became notorious when the story broke about him, about a Chinese spy who went by the name of Fang Fang, who worked for him. And clearly he did very poor vetting. Here's Kevin McCarthy talking about that and the problems with Eric Swalwell.
If you got the briefing I got from the FBI, you wouldn't have Swalwell on any committee. And you're going to tell me other Democrats couldn't fill that slot? He cannot get a security clearance in the private sector. So would you like to give him a government clearance? You asked me questions about Santos. You asked the questions about Swalwell. Not only was he getting a clearance, he was inside an intel committee. He had more information than the majority of all the members. Did you ever raise that issue? No, but you should have. You're going to tell me there's 200 other Democrats that couldn't fill that slot, but they kept him on it? The only way that they even knew it came forward is when they went to nominate him to the Intel Committee. And then the FBI came and told the leadership that
Hey,
he's got a problem.
he's in bed with a spy.
And they kept him on. That
Literally.
jeopardized all of us. If you got
They didn't care. Democrats didn't care. So now when they're coming out with all their nobility about what fine people that they are, that they're chasing him out, they're full of crap. They're completely full of crap, and everyone knows it. In fact, there's all sorts of speculation as to why it is that this is happening. So this is something that should be referenced and is important to understand. The way that the governorship runs is if no one can get a majority, it comes down to a two-person race. And what people are speculating is that this poll, which came out on April 7th from Interactive Polls, scared the bejesus out of the Democrats. Specifically, I'm talking about this poll right here. If you look at this poll, what you see on it is that Chad Bianco is 14% Republican, Steve Hilton 14%, Eric Swalwell in third place 12%, and then Tom Steyer is 11%, Katie Porter is 7%. So what the Democrats were looking at potentially, if there's no vetting, if there's no weaning out process here, is that the top two vote getters would be two Republicans, Bianco and Hilton, and that their voters would have only a choice in the actual runoff of between these two Republicans, Bianco and Hilton. So they didn't like that. So they really wanted someone to drop out between Swalwell, Steyer, and Porter because they're the three who are carrying the largest percentage of votes. Look at all these people here. I mean, all of them. None of them are terribly popular in California. Swalwell was at 12%, Tom Steyer at 11%, and Katie Porter at 7%. Katie Porter, you might recall, is the monster who, like any good monster, any true monster, you can see it in her face, just how horrific she is. This is a woman who threw scalding potatoes on her husband, according to court filings. I mean, and she's notoriously monstrous to her own staff. And anyone who doesn't know how to treat their staff, we'll talk a little bit more about Katie Porter soon. Now, this is what people are saying, that this was the motivation. To be fair, because I want to share with you truth. To be fair, this is not the most recent poll. A more recent poll here showing Swalwell with 18%, well, comfortably ahead of Bianco. This is from April 10th. So I don't know that Bianco would have beaten out Swalwell. But I do recognize that Democrats certainly had to have concerns because all this news was coming out about Swalwell and his situation with various women accusing him of very, very unbecoming behavior. And shortly after he announced his governorship, these women started popping up all over the place, pointing out that this guy's kind of a monster. Let me just pull this up real quick. If he pumped the spy for information as opposed to the other way around, things might be different. Yes. maybe, if only. He never struck me as someone. He looks like an idiot. Am I the only person who looked at him and I just like, there's something about him that you assume his name is Brad and he's an airhead. That it's just, I don't know. I was shocked to hear that this guy was a lawyer. So all these reports started coming out over the last week or so. And speculation is that the reports started coming out because because the Democrats themselves, the leadership of the Democratic Party, perhaps Nancy Pelosi, perhaps others from California, were very concerned that he was going to kill a Democrat's chance of having a Democrat governor. But these stories about Eric Swalwell have been going around for years, for a long time. This is not something that people didn't know. Everyone knew. It was one of the worst kept secrets in both DC and California. Jarvis here saying, boy, I tell you what, you give journalists 10 years to chase down leads and a half dozen whistleblowers on a silver platter and political expediency, and by God, they'll break the story. Is sarcastically saying, yeah, why is this story breaking now? And Eric Swalwell himself has come out and said, hey, the reason this is happening to me now is because there's an election coming. So you got all these fake rumors. But rumors about Eric Swalwell's sexual misconduct with Swalwell in DC for years. I first heard these rumors in 2020 in the course of my other reporting about Swalwell. I was neither a politics reporter nor a women's issues reporter, so I cannot chase them down. I've covered Eric Swalwell since he was a member of the Dublin City Council. Shortly after being elected to Congress in 2013, his behavior towards women was known by all levels of our government and the Alameda County Democratic Party. Everyone knew this guy was a slime ball. Everyone knew. Now that this is out of the bag, I want you all to see something from 2017. The dozens of interviews that CNN conducted with both men and women also reveal that there's an unwritten list of male lawmakers made up primarily of House representatives, where there are many more members than the Senate, notorious for inappropriate or predatory behavior. Several people simply refer to the roster as a creep list. More than half a dozen interviewees independently named one California congressman for pursuing female staffers. He's a horn dog. There's no other way to put it. It's something everyone knew. Eric Swalwell ending his bid for California governor is, among other things, testament to the power of investigative reporting. That's Brian Stolwell's investigative reporting. You're such a loser. You are such a loser. Eric Swalwell spending his bid for California governor is, among other things, a testament to the power of investigative reporting. God, what a loser. Investigative reporting. So the people who were very excited by this, and folks were calling, I mean, Nick Sora is saying this will be Eric Swalwell's final week in Congress. Watch, it's over. He said this yesterday. So that's a good job by Nick Sorter. He's a guy I appreciate his reports. He's one of the people I check out frequently. I think he does a pretty good job. And this is a common complaint. The biggest thing to take away from this Swalwell story is not that he's a creep and alleged sexual predator. It's that the Democrat Party and their lapdog media knew this the entire time and only revealed it when it became beneficial for them. They don't actually care. Of course they don't actually care. All they care about is power. That is all they care about at all. Nothing else matters. It's just power. That's it. If you can help us get more power, great. If you're in the way, they will crush you. That's what they do. And all these reports were basically, let's come back to that. You want some examples of like his sleaziness? Let's do that just so we can appreciate the stories that started to come out. Husband of influencer threatens lawsuit against Eric Swalwell, claims he once sent his wife unsolicited nudes and showed up at her home. Adam Parkomenko's wife, Ali Samarko, says Swalwell would go on runs in her neighborhood and tell her to come downstairs. She also says Swalwell would send her inappropriate messages and photos and Snapchat. Samarco's husband is threatening a lawsuit against Swalwell if he makes a single statement that disparages his wife. Quote, but if Eric Swalwell is trying to make a single statement that disparages my wife, I will be filing a lawsuit against him, Parkhomenko said. I've already made that clear that if he believes anything I said is untrue, he should sue me immediately. This is, by the way, we should share with you the story, the statement that Swalwell was making. This is when these reports first started coming out about his sleaziness.
A lot has been said about me today through anonymous allegations, and I thought it was important that you see and hear from me directly. These allegations of sexual assault are flat false. They are absolutely false. They did not happen. They have never happened, and I will fight them with everything that I have. They also come on the eve of an election.
He's not fighting them.
Where I have been the front-runner candidate for governor in California.
Not really.
I do not suggest to you in any way that I'm perfect or that I'm a saint. I have certainly made mistakes in judgment in my past, but those mistakes are between me and my wife. And to her, I apologize deeply for putting her in this position. I also apologize to you if in any way you have doubted your support for me. But I think you know who I am.
I think
for
we
over
do.
20 years, I have served the public.
I think we
as
do.
a city councilman, as a member of Congress, and as a prosecutor who went to court on behalf of victims, particularly on behalf of sexual assault victims.
Yeah, I think he was probably getting busy with him.
That's who I am and have always been.
He's scum.
This weekend, I'm going to spend time with my family and friends. And I appreciate those who have reached out
I hope you had a fun weekend.
to me to show support. And I look forward to updating you very soon.
Yeah, the updates came soon after this. Now, before we move away from the Parkhomenkos, which this is who these two people are, the Parkhomenkos, understand this, okay? There are very few heroes in this story. There are very, very few heroes in this story. Because the holy Parkhomenkos, this guy over here, that guy over there with the what is it, a Titleist hat? I don't know. I guess it's Titleist. It's probably a Titleist hat. So, you know, he's sitting here bashing Eric Swalwell as being some terrible, terrible individual. Terrible. And oh my gosh, can't stand that guy. Can't stand that guy. Yeah, here's Parkhomenko over here. This is Parkhomenko in 2020, a year ago, praising Eric Swalwell. Flag. Eric Swalwell has destroyed what's left of her. Her is literally scratching his head.
President Biden, you appear to have a photographic understanding and recall of the House. Did you say that to President Biden?
Those words do appear on page 47 of the transcript.
Photographic is what you said. Is that right?
That word does appear on page 47 of the transcript.
Never appeared in your report, though. Is that correct? The word photographic?
That does not appear in my report.
President Biden, you appear to have a photographic understanding and recall of the House. Did you say that to President Biden?
So he's so excited that he gotcha. Why didn't you have the word photographic in there? Oh, maybe photographic means he's literally holding a photograph. Because he doesn't remember anyone's names. Probably. I don't know. That was Ben-Hur. He's the guy who basically exposed Biden as being an addled moron. So yeah, I'm sorry, it's 2024. So this is 2 years ago. 2 years ago, this guy, long after his wife was working for him, yeah, he's basically praising Swalwell. And now he's like, oh, he's just piling on. You want to know why? I have a theory about this. My theory is that this guy over here, this guy Parkhomenko, is just a theory. I don't have any additional knowledge that this is based on. It's just my observations. I see something and I interpret it. My theory is he's a cuck. And like basically now that, you know, the guy who basically was Snapchatting his wife. Why is your wife on Snapchat with dudes? Like, why is that happening? think about that. Like, seriously, why would your wife be on Snapchat with dudes? I don't know. I mean, give me a reason. Give me an explanation. I defy you. I challenge you. I am throwing down the challenge. Okay? Throwing down the challenge. Give me an explanation as to why a man's wife would be on Snapchat with dudes that does not include the word cuck. I dare you. I double dare you. I physical challenge you. You won't be able to. You won't be able to. So yeah, I'm not too impressed with the Parkamenkos. Either Adam or Allie Parkamenko. But that was one of the allegations that came out there against him. And there were so many allegations. I think there was like 3 or 4 or 5. I don't remember. And here's the thing, you know, and there were so many allegations. I think there was like, that's just an echo. This guy was on if we think back to the Kavanaugh days during his hearing, this guy, what was he saying when there was a handful of women who were talking about how Kavanaugh would get like a little handsy sometimes 30 years ago. 30 years ago. This is Eric Swalwell weighing in on that.
There were 4 witnesses, 4 women there, in addition to Brett Kavanaugh, that it has been discussed in recent days. They have tried to figure out, okay, we are seeing all this stuff going on in the news. What do we do? And then ultimately they decided to
Relate one incident and, you know, shine inaccuracies or inconsistencies on that case. But the more and more cases that are separate and independent that look the same, pretty soon a prosecutor starts to say to a jury, and this is not a jury, but it's allegations that the arrows are pointing in the same direction. And what are the chances that 3 or 4 women independently who never met each other would have similar experiences with one person? So either, Ari, this person committed these horrific acts, or he is the single unluckiest person in the world for these people to conspire and make up lies against him. But it's a very hard case to make, the more allegations that come in.
Yeah, and that's why when he was making all these claims, that Swalwell was basically saying, no, I'm a good moral man, and my wife, loves me, and I don't do anything wrong, and why are people saying all these terrible things about me? It's not fair. Well, there's 4 different women who are making these claims about you. So you tell me. You tell me. And by the way, some of them were as recently as February. I mean, it's not like these are old claims where the memory gets addled. Like he's busy running for office and got his hand up and someone's where his hands where they shouldn't be while he's like basically signing off on the registration papers. He's got his other hand just like doing things that a married man's hand shouldn't be doing to a woman. I don't know. Terrible news. So and just make sure. Yeah. So all these allegations are coming out, and he's denying it. He was denying it. And the problem is that there's video of him which just didn't look too good. Like there's this one. That's not looking good because, believe it or not, that's not Mrs. Swalwell. I think her name is, I think she's we'll call her a worker, a night worker. Oh, that also reportedly, I've never been in his house. Reportedly, that's his bed, like in his house, that he's got this woman. That's one woman. Then his second video dropped. That's another woman. And I'll just pause it here and say all sorts of folks are trying to speculate about who this guy is. And some people are pointing out that it looks a lot like Ruben Gallego. Can't say for sure. I don't know. But it looks a lot like California Senator Ruben Gallego. So, yeah. These are his house parties. We're not going to talk about this. She says, stop. I don't know, whatever. I don't know. So yeah, when these videos dropped, things were the pressure was mounting. All the arrows were pointing in one direction. And either he was very unlucky, which is possible, it could be. Hello. Sorry. Every once in a while, I slip into my Dr. Nick voice. Hi, everybody. Madison Cawthorn spoke out about sex parties and drugs and his career destroyed for telling the truth about all the swampy, vile scourge in Congress. I'm sure that, yeah, because they protect their own. That's what they do. Barnes is bragging that you agree with him on Viva. Barnes, psycho, hates everyone in Trump's cabinet, friends in low places. Maybe you can get him some help. Listen, I saw the clip. Should I address this? Do I need to address this? When we hit the goal, I'm confident we're going to hit the goal. When we hit the goal, I'll throw that as a bonus on the goal, okay? We hit the goal, and I will respond to y'all about what Robert Barnes said about me and my thoughts about what he said about me last night on Viva, because Barnes and I over the weekend had a disagreement, friendly disagreement, but disagreement all the same. And I when he made a statement on X, I disagreed with him some more because I thought that was he was taking positions that I'm like, that's not. And then yesterday he brought my name up and was talking about my disagreement with him. And I'll give you my feedback on that. God willing, we hit our goal. I'm confident we're going to hit the goal. We all need to put ourselves on a good start. We're going to hit the goal. So when we hit the goal, I'll throw that in. All right. I think it's a good thing to throw in there. Anyway, Nick Sorter was sharing about how he. We'll skip this. Nick Sorter. So with those videos coming out, the pressure started mounting on Eric Swalwell to get the hell out of the governor race. And to get out of Congress, too. There's Nancy Mace weighing in on it. I think this was after he had stepped down.
So you believe that Eric Swalwell will be kicked out of Congress this week?
I do, and I believe that Tony Gonzalez will be right behind him.
Democrats, a considerable portion, maybe like 100 Democrats would have to vote with Republicans, right, in order to do this?
Yes, and I don't see any way out of this. I mean, there's no way after the videos with the alleged hooker and prostitute and porn star coming out, the stories from his former employees and staff, women coming forward. There's no way out of this. If he wants any dignity, which he doesn't deserve any, he should resign. Otherwise, we will expel him. My understanding, a deal has been made that we will do Tony Gonzalez and Swalwell this week. I'm pushing for more.
And that's what Uzelian says in his chat, in his rant. He says, Joey resigned as part of a deal. They would force him to resign. In return, they would force Gonzalez to resign. Which, I mean, it's sort of, I guess there's sort of like a balance then. You sort of keep the numbers balanced between Republicans and Democrats. Each side loses one. So, and in fact, Tony Gonzalez did resign today. If you don't remember Tony Gonzalez, I spent an evening breaking down his story where he had a girlfriend who was married. He's a Republican from Texas. And he was, I think, from the 23rd district, primaried by Brandon Herrera, who was very popular with MAGA, and they had a runoff. And after they finished close enough, like Brandon finished slightly ahead of him, and they were scheduled to have a runoff when he dropped out from running for re-election in a very, very red district where you know that whoever wins the primary is likely going to take the House seat. It's almost impossible to not win. So the primary is the real race. And the story broke about how he was a married man who had a girlfriend, and then basically he alienated her, and the next thing we know, she self-deleted in one of the most horrific possible ways to self-delete. What she specifically did was that she set herself on fire. It's horrible. And all sorts of folks, it's been ruled self-deletion. All sorts of folks speculate that maybe this was some sort of hit. It's such an uncommon way for someone to self-terminate that it's a very painful way to go. Very, very painful. And so there was all this pressure on him to step down, and eventually he stepped out of the race. Tonight, he announced that he is out. He's done. He's done skis. In fact, let me see if I can find that for you. Tony Gonzalez. I have it here somewhere.
I am.
No, I'll just break this.
I can't hit 100% of my shots, but I can file free with TurboTax. And
this is what happens when I make a mistake of coming back to Chrome for a minute. Representative Tony Gonzalez from Texas abruptly announced his decision to resign from Congress Monday evening amid calls him to step aside after admitting sexual misconduct with a staffer earlier this year. The embattled lawmaker is facing an anticipated expulsion vote that could occur as early as this week. Quote, "There's a season for everything, and God has a plan for us all. When Congress returns tomorrow, I'll file my retirement from office," Gonzalez wrote on social media. "It has been my privilege to serve the great people of Texas. You slimy, scummy sicko." It's currently unclear when Gonzalez will formally resign. A spokesperson for Gonzalez did not immediately respond to requests for comment. Gonzalez has come under bipartisan pressure to immediately step aside or face expulsion following his acknowledgement of an affair with former staffer Regina Santos Aviles, who later died by allegedly setting herself on fire. So, Representative Teresa Leger Fernandez has vowed to move forward with her expulsion resolution. If Gonzalez does not quickly resign, he has until 2 p.m. tomorrow when we'll file his expulsion. He better write that resignation effective immediately. He first admitted to an affair with Santos Aviles during a radio interview in March after repeatedly denying the existence of a sexual relationship. So now Gonzalez is gone, thank God. I really don't care whether they're Republican or Democrat. If they're slime, they're slime. It's just really that simple. And he's slime. So, yeah. So that was Nancy Mace on with Benny Johnson saying that, talking about that deal, which ultimately seems to have been consummated. But coming back to everything that was going on with Swalwell this weekend, after these videos started going out, the Democrat elite started jumping ship on Eric Swalwell. You don't see people pull their endorsements often, but Senators Adam Schiff and Ruben Gallego both withdrew their endorsements of Eric Swalwell after sexual assault allegation came out against California gubernatorial candidate, was described as indefensible. Women who have come forward with accounts like this deserve to be heard with respect, not questioned or dismissed, Gallego said. Yeah, I have a feeling he was in that video. I'm equally as shocked and upset about what has transpired. Totally shocked. I'm shocked. Just shocked, I say. Shocked. He's not at all shocked. Shocked. I'm shocked. I can't even speak. I'm so shocked. Withdrawing my endorsement, Congressman Swalwell, effective immediately. Schiff also withdrew his endorsement. Quote, I've read the San Francisco Chronicle's account and I'm deeply distressed by these allegations. Woman was brave to come forward. We should take her story seriously, Schiff said. I'm withdrawing my endorsement immediately. Believe that he should withdraw from the race, which he did shortly thereafter. What's this little clip here of Congressman Knucklehead?
Another constituent?
Yeah, this is a constituent. Would you like to talk to the congressman? Yes. Here he is.
This is Eric.
He's like basically the crown prince of cringe.
I'm going to go sign it right now and reverse these tariffs.
I don't know who this kid is. I assume he's someone famous. Do you guys know who Noah DeBaressa is? It's so cringe. It's so cringe. Oh my God. So yeah. But when we talk about the allegations that were coming out, some of them terrible. Were really terrible. I should spend a little more time just so we can appreciate this. Former staffer of Eric Swalwell said he assaulted her twice. She said she woke up in his bed with no clothes on. The first incident reportedly took place in 2019. This is 7 years ago. Swalwell has been married since 2016. The woman says she was hired at the age of 21. At one point in 2019, Swalwell pulled out his schmeckle and asked her to perform oral feces on him, and she did so in a parking lot, according to the San Francisco Chronicle. Later the same year, the former staffer said she was invited out for drinks with Swalwell, and like a complete idiot who kept working for him, because frankly, these women, I'm not trying, in no way, no one should mistakenly take this as me defending this jerk's actions. But you sort of have to ask yourself, like, why are you there? Why didn't you report what happened? Why are you still there? Former staffer said she was invited out for drinks with Swalwell. She said she became so intoxicated that she does not remember the rest of the night. She claims she woke up with no clothes on in Swalwell's hotel bed and claims that she could feel the effect of having been basically in coitus. According to the San Francisco Chronicle, in April 2024, the woman who did not work for Swalwell at this time attended a charity gala where Swalwell was present. The woman said she became inebriated while getting drinks with him after, and could barely remember the night. She said she told him no as he forced himself on her. The woman said she was assaulted by Swalwell. She said she blacked out but woke up during it and even told him to stop at one point. The woman's friend and then boyfriend said she told him about the alleged assault the next day. So you have corroborating evidence, corroborating stories. Swalwell has denied the accusations, sent a cease and desist letter. Representative previously said in 2018 the alleged victims deserve to be heard. And he's sending cease and desist letters. It's not a good look. It's not a good look.
What was important to you about anything that you heard tonight from President Trump, speaking out at length, from Mr. Avenatti, who I believe you just were able to hear, and new reports that there are new allegations being probed by the Senate regarding Judge Kavanaugh?
Good evening, Ari. I saw continued demeaning of victims of sexual assault, people who deserve to be heard, who deserve for their allegations to be investigated, and a president who wants to just rush this through. He criticized the Senate for even taking this long, Ari. And so for Brett Kavanaugh's sake, if he is innocent, I hope tomorrow he opens his statement and says, you know what, bring in all the victims, allow them to be heard, allow them to be questioned.
He's sending cease and desist letters to his victims.
That will clear his name if he's indeed innocent. And if he's not, for the sake of the credibility of the court, I hope that the senators would vote against him.
What was him?
So there you go, Eric Swalwell. I'm not done with you by a damn sight. I'm not done with you by a long way. Nick Sorter was sharing out. Multiple Democrat staffers just accused Eric Swalwell of assault. This guy's an absolute pig. I personally heard Swalwell tell lobbyists at a DC restaurant to help him find a woman to cheat on his wife with because he only F's tens. A 21-year-old woman who worked for Swalwell recounts the time they got her so drunk she woke up naked. We heard that story.
Courageous and brave. Eric Swalwell tried to silence these women, but they are courageous and brave, and they spoke up, and their stories are just starting to be told. The San Francisco Chronicle just broke this story, and this is the first of many.
This guy might go to prison.
And Swalwell's campaign is well aware of how many more women are coming forward, bravely speaking up about what he put them through. That's why multiple members of his team are resigning today. I am incredibly proud of every single one of these women. I am incredibly proud of every single one of these women who has gone through this process, who has trusted me with their stories, who's connected to legal counsel, and who has moved forward and started this process of holding this man accountable. The difference between us and MAGA, those we point the finger at, is that we hold our own accountable.
No, you don't. No, you don't. All this stuff happened 7 years ago. Everyone knew about it. No, you don't. You only hold them accountable. You only hold them accountable when it's politically expedient to help you with your governorship race. So you don't hold anyone accountable. You're just a bunch of freaking hypocrites.
No more predators in power from either party. Period.
Yeah, where were you 7 years ago when these women were all getting harmed? Where were you, Sugar? Tell us. Tell us where you were. You're so proud of Democrats. Idiot. Even Ben Shapiro was trolling Eric Swalwell today from his when he appeared before the House, saying that this certainly hits different today. This was Ben Shapiro when he was in the House.
And just because we found some receipts, you did say, I think homosexual activity is a sin.
Yes, I'm a religious Jew. That's true.
There's a genetic component.
You found me out.
Orientation, but the view of all religious people I know has always been that sexual behavior is something that is up to you. And you said, I may have a desire to sleep with many women, but I do not.
I agree with me. Yes, that's true.
Congratulations on your, I'm sure it's very hard to restrain yourself. Mr. Chairman, I just want to shift to...
Very hard to restrain yourself, buddy boy.
Alvin Bragg.
Very hard to restrain yourself, apparently. So that was Ben Shapiro trolling Eric Swalwell today. Which is pretty funny. It's a pretty good job. I liked it. All right. Well, this is someone we've been trying to get rid of for years. Case in point. Case in point. Swalwell's political career should have been over after he slept with a Chinese spy. Instead, Pelosi put him on the Intelligence Committee so he could tell ridiculous lies about Trump and Russia.
Where's the actual evidence of collusion between the Trump campaign and Putin?
It's right in front of your nose, Tucker. When we look back on this in 25 years, we're going to be amazed at how much of it was right in front of us.
How much of it was right in front of us?
Member Judiciary, do you believe the president right now has been an agent of the Russians?
Yes, I think there's more evidence than he is. Yes, and I think all the arrows point in that direction. And I haven't
See how we always use that phrase, arrows point in that direction? Yeah.
seen a single piece of evidence that he's not.
An agent.
You see, and look, you see that stupid smirk comment? This when I saw this, I wanted to punch him in the face. I saw this earlier today. I was just like, man, this guy deserves to be just popped in the face for this stupid statement because he's a prosecutor. He knows there's no such thing as evidence that he's not. How could you give me evidence that Eric Swalwell is not a Russian agent? Give me evidence that Eric Swalwell is not an agent of Thailand. Can't do it. Give me evidence that he's not an agent. No one's shown me a single piece of evidence that he's not. He says it with this smirk, this smug smirk.
That he's not.
An agent like...
Look at this. He was so proud of that line.
Like in the 1940s where you had people who were Reds, to use an old term, like that. In other words, working for a foreign power.
He's working on behalf of the Russians, yeah.
Okay.
The question has shifted from whether the president is working with the Russians to what evidence exists that the president is not working with the Russians.
See? That's how they tried framing it. Prove your innocence. Like they literally were turning him, this jackass prosecutor is sitting here trying to basically turn it into like, let's demand that he give evidence that no human has. Is there any evidence that Eric Swalwell was not working for the Russians? No, there's not. There's not. I'm going to go around on everywhere you can. Eric Swalwell is working for the Russians. Give me evidence he's not.
At what point do you draw the line and not accuse the president of the United States without any evidence of being an agent of Russia?
Yeah, he's betrayed our country, and I don't say that lightly. I work as
no, you say it very lightly. Very, very lightly.
a prosecutor for 7 years, and I...
Betraying the country, by the way, we want evidence before you say that, but you said an agent of Russia.
Yeah, he works on their behalf.
I'm not hearing the evidence that he's an agent of Russia.
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear. It's almost hiding in plain sight.
I can't tell you what it is, but it's hiding in plain sight. That's how this clown made a name for himself. Basically riding off of TDS. But once these stories started coming out, it wasn't just everyone started piling on. Everyone started piling on. Here's Pramila Jayapal piling on, because that's what they do. They're like, oh, it's time for us to pile on. Is that what we're supposed to do? Is that what we're supposed to do? Let me pretend I actually have my own independent thought for a moment.
I'm sick and tired of watching powerful men in powerful positions be able to get away with sexually abusing and assaulting women. And in the case of both Tony Gonzalez and Eric Swalwell, the very serious allegations are about staffers, young staffers who work for these members of Congress who have been violently assaulted. In the case of Tony Gonzalez, he has admitted to what happened with his staffer, to having an inappropriate sexual relationship with that staffer, which is against our laws. In the case of Representative Swalwell, there are 5 women who have come forward with the same pattern of abuse. My hope is that Eric Swalwell steps down, but I think the horrific stories and the courage of these women to come forward really does necessitate that we no longer allow him to serve. Now, that's a high threshold. There is due process in Congress because you have to take a vote on the House floor, but our ethics process needs to be completely revamped. We need quicker, faster ethics investigations if we're going to say that that is the process that we move to. I'm just tired of all of the members of Congress in powerful...
Why don't you name the people who are getting their money from slush funds? Why don't you do that? We actually really care, because there's an actual congressional slush fund to hush up congressmen who basically can't keep it in their pants. So why don't you name them?
Positions that abuse that trust. This is part of the reason that the American people don't trust us, because we continue to allow these people to serve. And it sends a message in the case of Representative Gonzalez and Swalwell that staffers across the Capitol are wondering what is potentially going to happen to them if they're in this situation. So yes, I would vote to expel both Representative Gonzalez and Representative Swalwell.
Yeah, you're such a big talker coming out now. Such a big talker.
We have a lot of...
But what's really important to Swalwell? You know what's really important to him? His staff. That's what he takes a lot of pride in. His staff. His staff. This is when he first was running for governor. It's just like everything blowing up on this guy is just hilarious. Everything about this story. And I guess it's tragic. You know, women who he abused. I'm not looking to see that. But
endorsements for my race for governor that are rolling in from colleagues, from elected leaders across the state. I'm so excited to share them with you. But the first endorsement I want to share from you, I think, is probably the most important. It's from some of the people who've known me best and have worked with me and on our team over the last 13 years.
Congressman Swalwell truly taught me what a genuine public servant looks like.
I saw first
on Snapchat. You show me everything about what a public servant looks like. I know more about what a public servant looks like than you can possibly imagine. Oh my God. I mean, I can draw you a picture. You probably don't even realize just how much I know about what a public servant looks like. Oh my God. Oh my God. It's great. This is good.
Best and have worked with me and on our team over the last
I've worked with him
13 years.
Congressman Swalwell truly taught me what a genuine public servant looks like.
I saw firsthand how deeply he cares.
Stop! 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 She saw firsthand how deeply he cares
About the communities that he serves, and I'm so proud to support him in this next chapter.
Congressman Swalwell has spent his career delivering results, empowering young people, and defending the values that make California strong.
He's empowered young people like me to lead, to speak up, and to believe in the power of public service.
Yeah, it's a very, very powerful public service. There's only certain things you can speak up about. Not about the Snapchats. Not about the Snapchats.
Working for Congressman Swalwell has been one of the most meaningful chapters of my life.
His trust in our ideas and his example as a leader helped shape who I am today.
California needs a leader who listens,
who fights for working families.
I can't think of anybody else who would serve California better than he would.
That's why I'm proud to support Eric Swalwell for governor.
We've got your back.
We've got your back.
We got your back.
Swalwell for governor.
So that was his staff like a month ago. That was them just a month ago. That changed. That changed. All right. All right. That changed with this. Eric Swalwell's congressional staff members have released a statement saying they're horrified, not horrified. Let's say it like we're from the Midwest. They're horrified by the accusations against him. Back in November, Swalwell bragged about his staff's endorsement, calling it the most important endorsement. The staff says they believe and stand with their former colleague. They also note that any decision of staff members to remain in their roles in the interim should not be viewed as support for Eric Swalwell. Then why the hell are you there? We stand with our former colleague and the other women who have come forward, statement said according to Politico. We believe you should stand with them too. Behavior detailed in these reports is abhorrent. Beneath the dignity of those serving public office and betrays the trust of all Californians. As leaders of teams working for Eric Swalwell, we're horrified by the most recent reporting in the San Francisco Chronicle and by CNN. The statement was unsigned, was attributed to about a dozen staffers. So that was his ad over there. Not a great weekend for Eric Swalwell. Well, that led, all of these reports led to this moment. I'm suspending my campaign for governor. This was yesterday. To my family, staff, friends, and supporters, I'm deeply sorry for mistakes and judgment I made in my past. I will fight the serious false allegations that have been made, but that's my fight, not a campaign's. So I'm out. I'm calling it quitsies. I'm done. I'm moving on. Elon Musk went on to troll him. Bro, you should definitely fight those false allegations, especially all the videos of you doing weird crap with hookers. Fight onward. That was pretty good trolling there by Elon. Pretty good trolling. There's more to this story. We're not done yet. Wow, life is rough, says Barnes was bragging. We got this one. F-U. Fum off you. F-U, Mafu. Mafu. Fumo. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Fum off you. Fum off you. Fum off you. Fum. Thank you. Appreciate the support. Pushing us closer to our goal. Our goal tonight is, if we hit our goal at 15 super chats, I'm giving a little reminder, a little incentivization. I'm going to actually do two things. There's only one listed in the goal, but I'm going to do two things. I'm going to go, if we hit our goal tonight, I will go through Tulsi Gabbard's thing that she did and break that down for you as to the latest scandal that just released today amongst the Democrats, and walk you through exactly how horrible what they did was. Because it's a little bit confusing. And if you just see the story, it's hard to really wrap your head around exactly what happened. Because like I said, it involves a bunch of agencies and technical things that I think probably 98% of America doesn't fully appreciate and understand just how terrible they were. So I want to try and break that down for you if we hit our goal. Also, I promised that I was going to address this, which is that yesterday Barnes was bragging that I agreed with him on Viva. So I did watch that, and I'll give you my response to that if and when we hit our goal. Where are we at on our goal so far? I should do a quick check on that. See where we're at. If and when we hit our... All right, it says we got 8 out of 15, but it's actually 9 out of 15. So we only need 6 more. I think we can do it. It's got an hour to go. Almost. It's almost an hour to go. Should be good. Regardless of who it is, I'm against removing representatives to the people that the people vote for. Voluntary expulsion is a different matter. Really? Really? That's a very broad statement. Why would you be against it? Sort of can like say like, you know, if the people knew what the hell he was, they probably wouldn't have put him in. Right? You gotta assume. You gotta assume. That's like, I understand what you're saying. Like, you know, you're thwarting the will of the people, but the will of the people, they clearly didn't know that he's like, you know, doing all the raping. You know, maybe if they knew that part of it, maybe they'd be like, I don't know. I don't know if I really would have voted for this guy. I'm just not sure. I'm not really a big fan of people who do all that raping. I don't know that he did that. That's allegations. And people are considered innocent until proven guilty. But then there's the court of public opinion where people are considered whatever is most salacious themselves. Right? I mean, that's how the court of public opinion works. It's not about truth. So, and that's how politics works, right? You vote for people based on the stories, the image that's presented to you, not based on much more than that. Gimme! He's that creep midwit geek kid in school no girl wanted. The mean girls bullied him. Once he got power, he abused him as payback because he could. Maybe. It's possible. There is something awkward about him. There is something awkward about him, and he's so cringe. I think that this assessment is, I'd say, I give this like, it's 50-50. This is like an accurate assessment. that's what his. It could just be that, like anyone else, he's just very thrilled with his level of power and the trappings that come with it. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to be like you're assessing that he's out there trying to punish women. Could just be like, power corrupts. And he had a lot of power. People in Congress have power. Dems fired Swalwell because they're afraid to lose the governorship of California. Yeah, I addressed this early on. And this is definitely a factor. This is definitely a factor. They definitely wanted him gone. They wanted him gone. Probably something to do with the governorship. Although the most recent polls showed him being ahead of Bianco. Meaning there's 2 Republicans in the field and like 10 Democrats. And I shared a poll which basically showed on April 7th, they were saying he was like at 12% and he was behind Bianco, who was at 14%. Another poll came out on April 10th, which was showing him at 18% and in second place. So who knows? Who knows? Imagine the fraud of Republican government would find in California. This is true. It probably would be a lot. It probably would be a lot to handle. My donation is here to say that the whistleblower's name is to hear you say the whistleblower's name here. My old Twitter account was suspended just for saying his name then. Thank you, Elon. I don't know. I'm not sure how you pronounce his name. His first name is the same name as Swalwell. And I think it's spelled Ciameella. Is that right? Is that Sima Chimarella? I don't know. That's what they say. That's what they say. Is like, nuclear waste going to fall from the sky because I said that? Is my channel going to get nuked now? Is that what's going to happen? No. Think Healthcare Solutions gifting 5. 5 Good Logic memberships. God bless you. Thank you, Think Healthcare Solutions. I'm much obliged for that. Following 5 people brought into the following courtesy of Think Health Solutions. That would include, in case you wonder, which you might not know, that would include Who's Handsome? Philip Coggins, Michael Stetson, Legendary Racing, and Liz W. Welcome to the following. I recognize Legendary Racing. Legendary goes back a long time on this channel. I've seen Legendary here for ages. Not one of the names that I called out in a long time, but I remember Legendary Racing. The reason I remember Legendary Racing, in case you're wondering, is because there was this graphic novel called Bones, where Bones from Boneville. And they had the annual Great Cow Race that Grandma would always win. So whenever I see Legendary Racing, I always thought of that. So I have questions about Ted Lieu. Adam Schiff. Gallego was his campaign chairman in 2019 POTUS run. Best friends. Also check George Santos and Martin Shkreli's post. Rokana? I don't know. I do think that Ruben Gallego knows a lot more. I think they probably all know a lot more. But they'll never admit it because they're a bunch of sleazy liars. So we'll never hear from them on it. This is the statement, by the way, from the. I'd agree, but there was no hearing. Amazing Script saying he agreed with me about the whole raping thing. all the raping that's going on. This was their statement where they said, we, the undersigned former staffers of Congressman Eric Swalwell, write today with heavy hearts and unwavering resolve. The allegations reported by the Chronicle and CNN are serious, credible, and demand accountability. We stand unequivocally with our colleague who showed extraordinary courage in coming forward, share her truth. We believe her. It has been described as not a political attack. It's the account of a young woman who trusted her employer, who was targeted and exploited by someone in position of power over her and has carried this burden for years. Corroboration reported by both outlets, including medical records, multiple witnesses, makes clear that this cannot be dismissed or deflected. No statement, no cease and desist letter, no claim of political motivation changes what our colleague experienced. We call on all relevant law enforcement authorities to open a full and thorough investigation into the allegations against Congressman Swalwell without delay. No one's above the law, not a congressman, not a candidate for governor, no one. We further call on Congressman Swalwell to immediately withdraw from the California gubernatorial race and to resign his seat in the U.S. Congress. People of California's 14th congressional district and the people of the country deserve representation from someone whose conduct reflects the values of public service. Remaining in either role while these allegations hang unresolved is an insult to every person who has ever worked for him, reported to him, or placed their trust in him. To our colleague, you're not alone. We see you. We stand with you. We're deeply sorry that we did not know what you were enduring, and we carry that weight with us, the weight of that with us. Your bravery in speaking out has given voice to what many victims have feared to say. We are grateful for your courage. We're appalled by his actions. Stand firmly with you and every victim who has come forward. Justice is not optional. Accountability is not negotiable. We will not be silent. Wow, that's a former staffer. So, like, you know, like I said, it wasn't going well for him. A lot of things not going well for him. And there were all these calls to have him evicted from Congress. Even after he dropped out of the gubernatorial race.
Morning. Happy Monday. Some original Gunther content right now.
This is Gunther Eagleman. What happened to like?
Hey, this message is for Speaker Johnson. Grab your nutsack. Expel Eric Swalwell today. He has no business being in Congress. The dude needs to go. You got one job today. Get him out of office. Anyway, hope everybody has a great week.
So there you go. Calls started coming for him to get kicked out of Congress. Finito, adios. Pack your bags. You got a one-way ticket. You got a one-way ticket back to California. Go try facing your wife. I got one more thing that was shared out by Nick Sorter on him. We were going to wait until just before the California governor primary to nuke Eric Swalwell out of the race with my recordings of him inebriated with lobbyists at a dinner. But now that his Democrat friends are calling him to drop out, I guess we don't have to wait. Stay tuned for a drop in the coming days. Swalwell spent his dinner bragging about orgies on Capitol Hill, telling them he's bored of his wife and only wants to F10s. Worse, he spoke about abusing his power in the House Intel Committee, which he's since been booted off of, saying he pushed to subpoena Ivanka Trump because she's hot AF. This guy must be removed from the Homeland Security Committee. He cannot keep his freaking mouth shut. After I began questioning him, Swalwell jumped back into the group of lobbyists to hide from me, but I pressed on. Dude looked absolutely terrified and 100% guilty. He knows he's been caught. This is February 2025.
So, Congressman, you referred to Elon Musk as a fascist at some point and alluded to him being a national security threat. Do you see that more of a national security threat, you sleeping with a Chinese spy, than transparency in the federal government? What are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on that? What's Fang Fang think of that?
What are you doing?
I mean, what's fascistic about exposing government corruption? I mean, I know you're just at dinner now with a bunch of lobbyists. You know, they're buying you a bunch of booze, and you know that's awfully nice. I know you were talking about, maybe finding somebody else because you only like to fuck people that are 10s. I just heard that one too. So what do you think about that? Do you want to comment on any of it? Elon Musk is a national security threat, but you sleeping with a Chinese spy is not. Is that correct? You don't want to comment on that at all? Looks like guilty as charged.
So that's Nick getting in people's faces. Getting people's faces. Duck Fat dropped another $10 rant. This is two $10 rants. If you're trying to keep track of the scoring to see if we get to 15, because now we only need to get to 13. Those screaming the loudest against Trump are the ones who have secret taxpayer-funded settlements for indiscretions in Congress. They are blackmailed. Probably. I think that we should never lose sight of the fact that there is a lot to be gained by baselessly screaming what people want to hear you scream. There's a lot to be gained. We see this with the whole, Candace Owens crowd. There's a lot to be gained in screaming idiocy that you're never going to get called on. No one's going to hold you accountable for the lies that you spew. So, and there's a lot of money to be gained by basically going out there and selling you prostitute your integrity for the purpose of getting clicks and power and money. So Eric Swalwell came to national attention because of his outrageous and ridiculous accusations against Trump. You know that Trump is someone who is a very polarizing figure. That means a lot of us love him and a lot of people really hate him. So, and they want to believe whatever lies are going to be thrown out there about him. So anyone who's willing to give them those lies or completely baseless claims and pretend that we totally know, it feeds their confirmation bias that Trump is the very devil that they believe him to be. And then they start following you and supporting you and sending you money and voting for you. So it's not that hard a thing to do to go out and chase the clicks. It's very easy to go out and chase the clicks, especially when you know you're never going to be held to account when you're full of crap. So I don't know if they're blackmailed. Oh, it could be they're blackmailed. It's a possibility, but an equally likely possibility to my mind is they're click chasing. That's what it is to me. Lady Babylon says, who's all in for story time? Let's go, chat! Let's go. I think we're moving along. Got 11. I think we're gonna hit the goal tonight. I think we're hitting that goal tonight. Bowing out dismisses the severity of his offenses. Does he really deserve to get off so easily? Oh, no, he doesn't. I agree with you. He's definitely bowing out because there was a whole probe going on into him. A whole probe. In fact, here was Representative Luna talking about how she wants to go after him.
Might have ideological difference. So on Friday, I had my staff initiate the process and start the process to file motions for expulsions for multiple members of Congress, both Democrat and Republican. And I think even though Democrats and Republicans might have ideological differences, I think we should be able to all agree on the basics that maybe if you're, sexually harassing or assaulting or have issues of domestic violence or you're stealing funds from FEMA, maybe you should not be in Congress, right? Like maybe it's time for you to go home and figure those issues out, not on taxpayer dollars. So yes, I am going to be bringing forward the motion to expel Eric Swalwell next week. And I think that this is going to trigger other motions. And you know what? Bring it. It's time. This is way overdue. I think that this is just the bare minimum that we can deliver for the American people is not tolerate public corruption in the House of Representatives. This is not rocket science. This is basic 101. Most people go to jail over this. So it's time for these people to go. So yes, I'll be voting to expel members of Congress. And I hope my colleagues join me. We need 2/3 of the vote. So on Friday, I had.
So that was Representative Luna. We never needed to get that far. I figured when I was covering this story, I should give you a little bit of a legal perspective. And actually, I thought the legal perspective that CNN brought was surprisingly good, at least the part of the clip that I saw here.
Talk to me about the Manhattan DA's move here. What will they be investigating? How will it work? Why'd they jump in?
So, John, a case like this is likely to come down to the single issue of consent. Was this sexual contact consensual or non-consensual? Now, the first thing prosecutors will do naturally is speak to the complainant, the woman, get her full statement, get as much detail as they can. Prosecutors also will likely reach out to the accused. Eric Swalwell here, you have to go through his defense lawyer. He'll have the opportunity to speak to prosecutors, although, of course, he does not have to do that. Then you're in the position of looking for what we call corroboration. You want to look at all the other evidence. So, for example, what were this woman's statements to others at or around the time? According to the reporting, there is evidence that this woman told friends and family members that she had had this contact with Representative Swalwell and that it was non-consensual. You want to look at the conversations at and after the fact between the complainant and the accused. You want to look and see if there's any medical records. The reporting here is that the woman had pregnancy and STD testing. So that's something short of a full medical workup. And then, John, the key thing to keep in mind is for prosecutors, the question.
All that does is it's basically forensic evidence, meaning scientifically admissible evidence that help support the claim that, hey, she had sex with Eric Swalwell. Now, it comes down to the question of consent, but to at least confirm her claims that, in fact, there was definitely sexual contact. That is difficult to be refuted. And then the question comes down as to whether he forced her into it.
Is not who is more believable or which side is more likely. Prosecutors, remember, have to prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt. So that's a very high burden that prosecutors will bear.
And again, we said there were 4 women who came forward, including this one here in New York City. What will happen with other potential individuals?
Yeah, so the allegedly criminal conduct that the DA is investigating relates to one of the 4 women, but prosecutors likely will want to speak to the other 3 women who had other sorts of unwanted advances, photos, and texts and exposure from Eric Swalwell. Now, prosecutors have to be careful here, though, because you might be able to offer that evidence if this case ever went to trial as a prosecutor by saying, well, it establishes a pattern. However, judges and prosecutors can get in trouble if you bring in too much of this, what we call other bad acts evidence. For example, Harvey Weinstein had one of his convictions thrown out because prosecutors introduced and judges admitted too much of that other bad acts evidence. So I think if you're a prosecutor, you do want to speak to these 3 other women, but I think you want to be careful with how you use that evidence.
So the other half of the intrigue surrounding the Swalwell situation is what happens in the House of Representatives. There may very well be a move this week to expel him, something that's almost never been done, though it has been done recently with George Santos here. So what are the exact rules here, and where does the Ethics Committee, which up until this point hasn't launched?
This is not going to be relevant. This is not going to be relevant, so I'm not going to. We'll stop it at this point. But I thought that it was a very healthy breakdown as to potential criminal charges being brought against him, which there should be. If what we're hearing if investigations can verify this as being true, there should be. This guy's a monster. He's a creep. So first, he suspended his campaign for governorship. That was step 1. And then step 2 was dropped on us by Eric Swalwell himself. Representative Eric Swalwell sent this message out at 5:25 p.m. Eastern Time. Quote, I am deeply sorry to my family, staff, and constituents for mistakes and judgment I've made in my past. I will fight serious false allegation made against me. However, I must take responsibility and ownership for the mistakes I did make. I'm aware of efforts to bring an immediate expulsion vote against me and other members. Expelling anyone in Congress without due process within days of an allegation being made is wrong, but it's also wrong for my constituents to have me distracted from my duties. Therefore, I plan to resign my seat in Congress. I will work with my staff in the coming days to ensure they're able to, in my absence, to serve the needs of good people of the 14th congressional district. And that's it. That's all she wrote. Adios, Eric Swalwell. Goodbye. Na 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 na. Hey hey hey. Goodbye. Yes. So a lot of people are upset about this. They say, well, you know, he's trying to strip them an opportunity to engage in a probe, which is true. He is. This is strategic. This is not something he wanted to do. This is strategic. He didn't want Congress to be engaging a whole probe into him because he's used to being the one doing the probing. So he doesn't like the idea of being probed. He doesn't like that. Probing something only he wants to do. So he wasn't too fond of that. Not too fond of that at all. Here's CNN reporting. Cooper Anderson and Brian Stelter.
We have breaking news. Congressman Eric Swalwell has just announced that he is resigning from Congress. Let's go right to CNN's Mano Raju on Capitol Hill. Mano, what are you learning?
Yeah, this is happening very rapidly. Just moments ago, Eric Swalwell posting on X that he plans to resign his seat that he is occupied representing the Northern California district, and saying so in the aftermath of these very serious allegations of sexual misconduct, including an allegation of rape. He has denied these allegations, but indicating in this statement that all of this was too much of a distraction, he said, to his constituents, which is why he plans to give up his seat in Congress. Now, this statement I'll read to you, Anderson, says, I am deeply sorry to my family, staff, and constituents for mistakes and judgment I've made in my past. I will fight this serious false allegation made against me. However, I must take responsibility and ownership for the mistakes I did make. I am aware of efforts to bring an immediate expulsion vote against me and other members. Expelling anyone in Congress without due process within days of an allegation being made is wrong, he said, but it's also wrong for my constituents to have me distracted from my duties.
Because his duties are the way he was performing his duties was just so precious and necessary.
Therefore, I plan to resign my seat in Congress. He goes on to say he'll work to ensure a smooth transition. But this is a dramatic downfall, Anderson. Swalwell was a front runner, a Democratic front.
A week ago, this guy was the front runner to be the next governor of California. This is a week ago. And now he doesn't even have a seat in Congress anymore.
Runner for the party's nomination to be the next governor of California, battling out with several other Democrats in that race. But in the aftermath of all these allegations, he saw his support completely collapse. One backer after another withdrawing their support, calling on him to withdraw from his race for California governor.
So CNN shocked, I say, shocked by him stepping down. So a lot of people, like I said, are upset that they're saying amazing disgrace here. It's upset that we don't get the further investigation. Let me tell you something, okay? This schmuck, this guy over here, this guy right here, is a bad human being. He's a bad human being to women, almost certainly. And he's certainly a bad human being with respect to lying his ass off for his own political aspirations and making America a worse place. When you make your own country a worse place, he's basically a leech. He's a leech on America. He has been a leech on America for many, many years. And he is not alone in being a leech on America. There are many leeches. Most Democrats and a whole bunch of Republicans too. There are a lot of leeches. He was a particularly obnoxious and loud leech. So this is a day to celebrate and appreciate God and basically say, thank you, God, for helping expose this slimy leech. And while I do think that there are probably more serious things he's done wrong as a politician than some of the stuff he's accused of, well, that's a subjective call, admittedly. This is the way people get bounced out. I will remind you, Governor Cuomo, Governor Andrew Cuomo, another slime ball, murdered tens of thousands of elderly and by shoving COVID-infected patients into nursing homes. Faced no scrutiny for that. Nothing happened. He lost his job as governor. Why? Because he was slimy to women. He was crude. And he was gross. That is something that is very hard for someone to slip away from. If you're gross and you're slimy, and abusing your power to basically get your rocks off, that is the one area that is easiest to have someone stripped of their political power. Far more so than killing thousands of people. It's ironic that if he had killed these women, which obviously is a far, far, far worse crime, he probably would have faced no repercussions. But if he's sending them pictures of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory and letting them see what a real public servant looks like, that is something that is much easier to have removed for. It's a sad state of affairs, but that is reality. So now he's gone. And that's a thing we should celebrate. Even if he's not gone for the reasons that we wish him gone, he is gone. That's a good thing. Let's celebrate. And even if it's designed to help bolster their power as with the governors of California, let me tell you something. If they're stupid enough to vote for Katie Porter, California gets what they deserve. They kept Gavin Newsom in there. Even with a recall vote, kept him in there. And maybe there was fraud in the election. That's possible. A lot of people were standing up for him, though. Millions of Californians were standing up for him. They get what they deserve. They get what they asked for. So there's I'll tell you other things that came out with respect to this thing when Representative Luna said, I'm being told there'll be more disgusting stuff coming out on Swalwell in the next 24 hours. The members of Congress who are concerned about optics of expelling Swalwell, I think after the information drops, you'll be thinking otherwise. Eric, why don't you tell us a little about the who was filming the video of the female sex worker? Ooh, stuff is coming. More stuff's coming. It's official. Representative Eric Swalwell is resigning from Congress. He got the call. House Democrat leadership likely did not want to make their Cali members go to the record to expel him. All an in-party political takedown in a matter of few days. Long overdue.
Sorry to my family, staff, and constituents because the 5 gets results, maybe. Eric Swalwell is resigning from Congress. He said this in a statement. I am deeply sorry to my family, staff, and constituents for mistakes in judgment I've made in my past. I will fight the serious false allegation made against me. However, I must take responsibility and ownership within days. But it's also wrong for my constituents to have me distracted from my duties. Therefore, I plan to resign my absence.
Got all this.
And he's out in California.
Any more?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, this isn't necessarily unexpected, but it is definitely a shock to the political world. You know, he was a leading candidate for California governor just a couple of days ago. But then this bombshell report came out in the San Francisco Chronicle with allegations that he sexually assaulted a woman while he was or she was one of his staffers. Then CNN came out with a separate report interviewing 3 additional women, saying that there was some sexual impropriety that had gone on.
Yeah, some sexual impropriety. Some. Ruben Gallego, I support the Ethics Committee's investigation. I believe Eric Swalwell is no longer fit to be a member of Congress. He should be expelled from Congress. I want to be clear. I had no knowledge of the allegations of assault, harassment, predatory behavior against Eric Swalwell. I trust someone who I believed was a friend. Who is it in the video there? Is it you? Is it you? It's now clear that he's not the person I thought I knew. The women who come forward have shown courage. They deserve to be believed, to be supported, and to see justice served. Please don't punish me for being besties with this slime ball. Ruben Gallego. They all jump ship. I'm just gonna, and I'm not the first one to notice how much that looked like Ruben Gallego. Mike Crispy, former candidate running for New Jersey governorship. On the left is Ruben Gallego at an event held with Barack Hussein Obama. Check this out. On the right, a man with an awfully similar profile overlooking Eric Swalwell grapple with prostitutes. Spoiler, it's also Ruben. No getting out of this one, pal. Resign from the Senate. That really looks a lot. Very, very similar. That looks very, very similar. Even the protruding ear over here, the protruding inner ear. See how this is protruding considerably? This is protruding considerably. I don't know. What do you guys think? You guys think that's, what do you think? What do you think? To me, this part of the ear right here and matching this part of the ear right here. I don't have my thing sticking in. See? That's a very unusual inner ear sticking out. That's very, very unusual. People are saying the funky chunk of hair missing behind his ear. For me, the ears are like a fingerprint. Like they say, no two ears are the same. Now I want to find that. I want to see every moment of that video. Should we do a little more digging? Let's do a little more digging. Let's pull that video back up here. Okay, when I was about to do some digging, I just stumbled on this. It was funny.
Suggested to our leadership, and it's been well received, that we need to have a campaign called "We Won't Forget," or "It'll All Come Out." Plain and simple, that's the message that we send.
It'll all come out.
To the colleges, to the law firms, to the entertainment giants, all these companies and individuals who've done these drug deals.
Especially if you're on Snapchat with Eric Swalwell, it'll all come out. It'll all come out.
With Donald Trump, we need to make it clear, as a Democratic caucus, that when we have the subpoena power, it'll all come out. So I hope your deal is solid and honest, because it's all going to come out.
It's all going to
And
come
I think
out.
that shows, one, accountability.
It's all coming out. We're going to get you on Snapchat. And it's all coming out.
Because right now, I'm being honest with you, most of the people who are striking these deals with Donald Trump, they don't think that Democrats are up for being punitive against them when we're in power. They are betting on.
Oh, no. We are very sure you're punitive. You've proven it over and over again. Because you're scum.
On us being as soft as we've been.
Oh, yeah.
In the past. And we
Yeah. 91 indictments. Very soft.
have to make it clear that it's not going to be that way. That your ass is going to be in a witness chair telling the whole country.
It'll all come out. It'll all come out. All right, let's see if we can do our due diligence here and try and unmask whether it's Ruben Gallego or not in that video with the prostitutes. Okay. Is this the right one? Oh, he's so lucky. Here he is coming into frame. Doesn't really get any clearer. Not really helpful. This is like the most you can see of him. My opinion? Yeah, that's Ruben Gallego. That's just my opinion. I don't know. This was Tony Gonzalez announcing he was done. Goodbye, Tony. Goodbye, Tony. There's a season for everything, and God has a plan for us all. When Congress returns tomorrow, I'll file my retirement from office. It has been my privilege to serve the great people of Texas. Adios. Come back, Shane. Come back. Come back, Shane. Goodbye, smuckers. I don't like this guy. I don't like this guy. So I'm glad his political career is dead. We're happy that it's dead. So we should talk about two other members of Congress who are still there. One Democrat, one Republican, who might have one foot out the door. Benny Johnson talking with Andy Ogles.
There's just this feeling like that. There's a feeling in DC that permeates. There's like, I'm untouchable. I can do whatever I want, right? And I think that needs to be like knocked down hard.
I think I think you'll see at least 2, if not 4 members of Congress expelled this week.
Wow. Can you unpack that? Is it like who's that? Is it going to be Sherflusis McCormick? Right.
That's right. Corey Mills will likely have one against them, and then Tony down in Texas.
And then Swalwell. So it'll be
Swalwell. That's right.
So it'll be scalp for scalp. So 2 Republicans, 2 Democrats.
2 and 2. That's right. So I think Swalwell is almost certain to happen. Whether or not the rest happen, we'll see.
Okay. There's just this.
All right. So Sherflulis McCormick was indicted for funneling millions in federal disaster funds into her campaign, and Corey Mills allegations including sexual misconduct, domestic violence, campaign finance violations. All right, clear them all out. Clear them all out. Clear them all out. We've got quorum soon. remove them all. Won't be able to get a quorum.
For anyone that wants to continue to say, both sides are the same, they're both corrupt, they're both bad, I want you to know that Democrats are responsible for pushing Eric Swalwell out of the primary for California governor. Because we believe him, and we are so done platforming
So
men
noble.
that are abusive to them.
That's all well and fine, but that's not true. So maybe that one person there has a problem with Eric Swalwell and what he did with those young staffers. The majority of the Democrat Party, especially the people that like pull the levers at the top of the Democrat Party, they don't care because they've known about Eric Swalwell
for years. For years.
None of this is new information. You understand that, right? Had nothing to do with Eric Swalwell abusing these young interns and staffers. It has everything to do with California's top 2 rule in primaries and the general election. 6 days ago, this was the polling in California. Chad Bianca, Steve Hilton were the top 2 candidates. So when that primary happens and those two get the top 2 votes, all of these Democrats, they don't get to move on to the general election. You were going to have an all-Republican general election in California for governor, and they were not going to have this. Don't believe me? Katie Porter's letting the cat out of the bag with a little bit of help from the San Francisco Chronicle. Democrats can pull victory from the jaws of defeat by coalescing around Porter. The entire exercise was nothing more than to get Eric Swalwell out of the race so that they could coalesce his support behind the Democrats so you don't have an all GOP general election in California. The funniest part about that, though, the poll I just showed you was 6 days ago. This is 2 days ago because Democrats really don't actually care about these accusations. Swalwell is actually polling higher now, and Katie Porter's polling lower now because Democrats see this as nothing more than an attack on Swalwell. And I know it's...
Yeah, well, anyhow, so he's obviously correct. That is the plume. I wanted to share this with you since you brought up Katie Porter because I thought this was funny. The allegations against Congressman Swalwell are horrifying. I'm thinking of the courageous women who have come forward to share their stories. We believe you. We stand with you. Community notes. Katie Porter is an alleged domestic abuser who poured scalding potatoes on her ex-husband's head. She's also been seen on camera verbally berating staff for minor slights and has been described as abusive herself. Look at this hideous woman. Hideous in every way you can use the term. Katie Porter. Can you imagine if this woman becomes a governor? She looks like, you know, what you were describing earlier, Kimmy, about Swalwell. She was bullied. She was bullied. And this, I think, describes her. She was a midweek geek kid that had no friends and was bullied all the time. And now she's just like punishing people. She's just vile. Disgusting. Katie Porter. Disgusting woman. So I've fallen behind in my chats though. So let me catch up on that because I feel guilty about that. Maura Bada says, I wonder why the Dems didn't put Kamala as governess. She'd have won in a landslide. Sadly, probably true. It's probably true. I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. I think there's a really good chance it's true. I don't think that's a bad call at all. Buddy Cassius, I dropped this link to his yacht trip. We knew he lacked discretion, but this is hilarious. Yeah, this is amazing. Brian Olenkamp brought in not one, not two, but three $10 chats to tell us goal. Yes, we have hit the goal. God bless you, Brian Olenkamp. Thank you so much. Kimmy Hunt. Sorry. He went down faster than Gary Hart in 87. Monkey Business. I remember the name of that ship. What was that woman's name? Don't tell me. Don't tell me. Don't tell me. She had an interesting name. I'm not going to get it. I can see her face. Dirty blonde hair. I don't remember her name. One of you got it? Did one of you got it? Donna Rice. What's up? Donna Rice. The Dems should go all in 2028 and run the tickets. Swalwell Wiener. Oh my God. That'd be great. That'd be great. You should. They should. Swalwell Wiener. It's so creepy. They are so creepy. All right. I think it's time for me to move on to the next story. It's time for me to move on to the next story. Savannah Hernandez. So I want to cover real fast. I'm going to cover her pretty quick. Which one should we do first? Nope. Nope. Not that one first. So she reported out I'm waking up with a headache and stiff neck this morning due to how violently anti-ICE activist Chris Ostrushko shoved me down yesterday. A second angle shows he had to be held back by 5 men as he continued to charge at me. I didn't speak a word to him all day, yet he repeatedly called me a bitch and very clearly looks like he wants to violently hurt me even worse than he did. I'm happy to report that charges will be brought against this man, his wife, and daughter. Look at this jerk.
Guys, it's over! It's over! Back the fuck up! It's over! It's
This freaking coward. Big fat slob.
Dude, we love you! We love you!
He's a loser. This loser. That freaking coward. She's like a third his size, and she has to hit him from behind. He has to hit her from behind. Freaking coward. There was more. There was a whole violent thing. This woman here is Savannah Hernandez. She's a right-wing reporter who is covering anti-ICE rallies when she got surrounded by these idiots. Here she is on Laura Ingraham today.
Why did it escalate so quickly?
Well, let's make no mistake, Laura. This escalated because they found out that I work for Turning Point USA. This isn't the first time that I have been confronted and assaulted at this point for journalism on the streets of the United States of America. But since Charlie Kirk's assassination, this is now the third time that people have come up to me after I have not been interviewing, not been engaging, but simply being on the street and filming a protest, figured out I work for Turning Point USA, and have made a point to confront me, to threaten me, to harass me, and now brutally assault me to prove a point. So that's why this escalated, Laura. I wasn't interviewing anybody. I wasn't engaging with anybody. I was, and I apologize. This is the first time I'm talking about this assault, and I'm scared to report, Laura. This is my job. It's what I've been doing for the last 6 years. And I'm terrified to do my job. I can't even interview people properly on the street because I got brutally assaulted and pushed to the ground by a 250-pound man for simply going and reporting on anti-ICE activities. I made a point not to engage, Laura, because I know the left wing is violent. They assassinated Charlie Kirk last year, and now they're coming for each and every single Turning Point USA employee because they know they can get away with it because the local jurisdictions aren't going to charge them. Now, luckily, the sheriffs are planning on bringing forward charges. I hope. I did tell them I wanted to press charges. This has been elevated to both the DOJ and the DHS. They are opening an investigation as well. But I'm horrified, Laura. I'm horrified.
Well, this is the United States of America. You were just standing there, and I know exactly how you feel because they surrounded me the same exact way, and they start screaming in your ear. And, you know, you stuck around there a little longer than I did. I got in my car because I didn't want to deal with this. But this is their MO. They don't want anyone there because they don't want anyone knowing the truth about how many of them are paid, how this is organized, who's funding it, and what they are really all about. They don't want anyone to know. If they were proud of their movement, they'd be like, welcome, you know, we'll be happy to talk to you. But they don't want that.
Absolutely, Laura. And this attack was so horrific that you now have the radical left-wing streamers and left-wing activists coming out and denouncing.
This is his vile daughter.
This attack saying, oh, we shouldn't touch women. That's probably a bridge too far. But again, you know, I was targeted because I work for Turning Point USA, because I'm a brown woman who thinks the wrong thing, because I am a Christian. They were mocking me for my religion. They were mocking me for my political views. They, like I said, they told me that I had no right to be on a public street, and they made sure to run me out and brutally assault me multiple times.
No way. Really? Is that true? Is that true? Judge Maddie, are you sure?
As I was trying to leave. So that's the United States of America in 2026. And my main question is, how is this allowed to happen in President Trump's America? So
we're going there.
You know, Laura,
the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office better do its job here, because if there was a message from on high, this will not be tolerated, then it wouldn't have been tolerated.
Yep.
And
it's true.
The feeling here is that it's okay to do this.
Yep. They know they'll get away with it. They know they're going to get away with it. And that's why you need federal charges. We'll get to that in a moment. More on that in a moment. Here's Tom Homan weighing in on it. She got punched also.
Tom, this is insane. I saw it firsthand when I was in Minneapolis. These people are terrifying to young women.
Purposefully
she's 5'4",
terrifying.
and she's lucky she wasn't hurt worse.
And look, you know, my heart goes out, and this shouldn't happen in the United States. But you know what feeds all this? Mayors and governors and members of Congress who want to vilify Republicans. They want to vilify President Trump. They want to vilify Turning Point USA because they have a conservative beliefs. I mean, they attack journalists. Well, they also attack sworn law enforcement officers. We're living in a country now where an ICE officer gets attacked daily. These protests, these attacks not only happen where Sarah was, it also happened in Los Angeles, Portland, Chicago. It's an ongoing dilemma, and that's why I'm grateful the FBI stepping in. DOJ is going to seek prosecution on this, because at this point, I don't trust any local jury in a sanctuary jurisdiction. I'd much rather see the feds pick it up and charge it with a federal crime, because the sentence is going to be a lot more stringent and it sends a strong message. But we cannot. give up on this. We got to keep prosecuting these people. 18 U.S.C. 111, interference, assault, record high number of prosecutions. We got to continue down that path and hold these people accountable. We cannot accept this as a norm in the United States of America.
So 18 U.S.C. 111, the Tom Holman reference there. States, whoever forcibly assaults, resists, opposes, impedes, but we got assault here, or intimidates any person who engaged in or in their performance of official duties. So it's not that. It's not formally served as a person designated under 1114 for his official duties. So I don't know that 111 is gonna work here, but there's a few others that I have in mind which we should look at. There's 18 U.S.C. 241. If two or more persons conspire to injure, oppress, threaten, or intimidate any person in any state in the free exercise or enjoyment of any privilege secured to him in the constitutional laws of the United States, or because of his having so exercised the same, or if two more persons go in disguise on the highway, we don't need that. They should be fined in this hell and imprisoned not more than 10 years, or both. So that sounds like it's potentially a good one there. It's also, I think, 249. Potentially hate crime. Although I don't know if hate crime applies to political bases. And you'd struggle to get, this is perceived race, color, religion, or national origin. I think you probably struggle with that. I think 241 is probably the strongest one. And you need to have conspiracy. Where do you have conspiracy? Well, I'll show you where you have conspiracy. I'm going to show you that right now. Because you need two people for conspiracy. This dude and his daughter. Savannah Hernandez better sue his family for every last dollar they had. New footage proves Savannah Hernandez's assault was a planned attack. This video captures the dad telling his daughter, blow the whistle right in her effing ear, which that's an assault. I agree. That is an assault. To blow a whistle in someone's ear is an assault. Another woman is heard warning him, your daughter is about to throw hands. To which he replies, yeah, I told her to blow the whistle in her ear. That's conspiracy to commit assault. Because I do think that blowing a whistle in someone's ear is an assault.
I'm watching my wife. Yeah, your wife. I'm pulling her back. Please don't fucking deck her. She wants. If she did the same thing. But it's CPUSA, so
There she goes.
That's right. That's my daughter.
There she goes.
This is gonna be the most boring fucking video to watch ever, bro. Wow. Yeah, she's doing it in her ear. Your daughter's about to throw hands. Well, because the girl's trying to do shit to her. I know.
What are you talking about?
I told my daughter.
What are you talking about? It's such a vile family. Everything about them is so vile. It gets worse. It gets worse. Is Jem Psaki giving this clown a platform?
Chris now goes by the nickname Minnesota Angry Man, and he's using his newfound fame to encourage others to stand up for community too, ahead of nationwide strikes.
You're disgusting, Jem Psaki. There's not enough terrible things that can happen to this woman.
Protests tomorrow.
Look how much clown makeup she's wearing.
We asked Chris if he had any words of wisdom to share, and here's
words of wisdom from this jackass who beats up girls. He basically sucker attacks girls. You're a loser, Jem Psaki.
What do you have to say?
We need some peace and harmony in our state and across our country.
Peace and harmony. Yeah, this is Mr. Peace and Harmony.
We've been dealing with enough tyranny. We're done with that. We need some peace, love, and harmony. Please come out. Please show up. Get off that couch. If I can do it, you can do it. We can march. We can dance. We can sing. We can.
This fatso becomes famous for attacking girls.
And hug it out. We can swear at the sky.
From the couch to the streets, what a rallying cry there.
You're a disgusting woman. You're vile. You're as vile as they are. Encouraging these clowns by giving them a platform for assaulting women. You suck. Ugh. Speaking of women who suck. This is the daughter.
Also known as Pedro Frisco. And I was the girl that literally just got fucking assaulted by a fucking piece of shit
Yeah. You go over and blow in her ear and then punched her.
turning point bitch. And first of all, her fucking
Sitting here whining like a little baby after you go after her. Go to hell, you loser. You whiny little skink. This lonely girl.
ID is expired. 2023 is when it expired.
No one cares.
And second of
They're
all,
idiots.
I got released. They're gonna like do investigation and all that for video, but I need everybody to send their video that they got of her assaulting me first.
Yeah, she has every right to punch you in the face if you're blowing a whistle in her ear.
And then second of all, my boyfriend that was protecting me,
That's not legal advice. I'm just telling you my personal opinion. It's my personal opinion.
Enzo Garcia, the one that was talking about his dad, yeah, they fucking took him for protecting me. I need everybody to get the word out to go to Hennepin County jail and help him get out because he was assaulted
Deport him.
and unlawfully arrested for no reason for protecting his girlfriend.
Yeah.
Please send videos. Please get the word out. This is MMA.
Yeah. So I think that she and her dad can actually both be charged with conspiracy. Now you got to get a Minnesota jury to like convict them. And as the other guy points out, I don't trust lefty federal judges in Minnesota, as you shouldn't. But what are you going to do? He's definitely done. You're done and cooked in state court. So I don't know what to tell you. Best chance you have, right? That's the best chance you have. Oh, and just so you can know that this loser is a crook. Anti-ICE protester Chris Ostrushko, who assaulted Savannah Hernandez out at the Whipple over the weekend, was convicted of defrauding the state unemployment program nearly $7,000 in the early aughts. He received a stay of execution on the sentence. On December 31st, 2002, Ostrushko applied for unemployment insurance benefits by completing an application by the internet. At that time, his address was located in Burnsville County of Dakota, Minnesota. Based upon the information provided, he claimed the benefits by using the Department of Education Security's teleclaim automated system. He claimed benefits for 27 weeks, received $6,900 in employment benefits, which he was not entitled to, because he was working for Becker Carpet Service at the time. So, unsurprisingly, he's a crook and a psychopath. What a sociopath that Jem Psaki is hailing as a person with wisdom. Everything about them is vile. Disgusting people. It's terrible. 1 second. So we're heading into our overtime session here. I need to share something with you. Oh no, I lost it. Give me a moment. There it is. Okay. All right. Tulsi Gabbard, share this out. Newly declassified records expose how deep state. I'm going to also, we're in the overtime period because you guys are awesome and we hit our goal. And I say thank you so much to all of you who pushed us toward tonight's goal. So I promised two things. I plan on delivering right now. First thing I promised was I'm going to cover Tulsi Gabbard's new release that she gave today. And also that after I'm done with this, I'm going to look at Robert Barnes' statements about me that he made yesterday and give you my thoughts and feedback on that. So, newly declassified records expose how deep state actors within the intelligence community concocted a false narrative that Congress used to usurp the will of the American people and impeach duly elected President, real Donald Trump, in 2019. Today, we reveal the truth. And this is what she basically hits on. She tries to summarize it with this little PowerPoint because it's confusing. It's very confusing unless you understand how the political operatives were using and abusing their positions for the purposes of trying to push forward the first impeachment of Trump. So, first and foremost, they had a secondhand whistle. She synopsizes it. Her synopsis is secondhand whistleblower account. The intelligence community inspector general weaponized the process, and there was a leading to a sham impeachment. Weaponized whistleblower process. The intelligence community's inspector general's so-called investigation relied on only secondhand evidence and a self-declared Democrat whistleblower who lied about speaking with Democrats in Congress. That's first and foremost. They relied on Russiagate author as a key witness. One of the key sources was co-author of the 2017 Russia hoax, ICA, who is also a close colleague of discredited former FBI agent Peter Strzok. And they use this false narrative to impeach, and that the Inspector General exceeded his statutory authority and ignored DOJ guidance to transmit the faulty complaint to Congress, which House Democrats peddled to drive a sham impeachment. It sounds very confusing. I'm not going to, it's like, and I was actually reading through this because I'm like, I want to be able to break this down for you in a way that's digestible. So Margot Cleveland wrote an article breaking it down, and even reading her article, I had to like reread it like twice to sort of like be like, okay, so then this happened. Okay, so then this happened. So I want to try and simplify it for those of you who might struggle when like most humans in understanding the political process, how things are working in Washington. So I'm gonna break this down for you in more detail than Margot Cleveland gives. And she's great. You should definitely be following her if you're on X, because she's amazing. She's at Prof. MJ Cleveland. She actually follows me. So she's obviously not just intelligent, but a woman of discerning tastes. And she says, these new revelations should wake Americans up to how the deep state and the complicit media sought to thwart their electoral will. The House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence released 2 transcripts on Monday morning from the 2019 closed-door interviews of then Inspector General of the Intelligence Community, Michael Atkinson. So these are new releases that we just got, courtesy of the House of the Select Committee, the Select Committee on Intelligence. The just released transcripts reveal new details behind the scheming that led to the first impeachment of Donald Trump. The first impeachment trial focused on President Trump's July 25th, 2019 telephone conversation with Zelensky. After the call, a supposed whistleblower, more on that shortly, filed a complaint with the Inspector General's office on August 12th, 2019. So there's this whistleblower, and we're going to sit there trying to figure out who this whistleblower is. At one point, Schiff promised he was going to give us the whistleblower. He later retracted that. There's a lot of speculation on who that whistleblower is. Someone had me mention their name earlier, but charging that Trump sought Zelensky's assistance. But the complaint was that he sought Zelensky's assistance in investigating the Bidens to interfere in the 2020 election. And that's ultimately what he got impeached for. The DOJ's Office of Legal Counsel concluded the intelligence community's Inspector General lacked jurisdiction to investigate the complaint. So he's got this complaint, but he doesn't have the authority to look at this complaint because the call between the respective presidents did not involve the intelligence community. So why would the intelligence community be looking into this complaint? It shouldn't be them. It should be someone else. Inspector General Atkinson responded by sending HPSCI a letter. So when Atkinson got this memo from the DOJ's legal counsel saying, hey, this is not your area. You're not supposed to be here. What are you doing here? This is not your thing because this is not part of the intelligence community. So he responded by sending the Select Committee a letter on September 9, 2019, alerting the House Committee to the whistleblower complaints. He's like, hey, I can't do anything about this, but we got this whistleblower complaint, and the fact that the acting director of national intelligence had not forwarded the complaint to Congress as purportedly required by statutes. He said, I think it's supposed to go to Congress, but the head of DNI isn't forwarding it on to you, so I'm doing it. Atkinson's letter launched a new firestorm, but the embers from special counsel Robert Mueller's investigation only extinguished some 6 months prior because he had his report that came out. So now we need something new to go after Trump for. So the HPSCI moved quickly to question Atkinson, with the then Inspector General sitting for a closed-door interview on September 19, 2019. So he sends a letter to the Select Committee saying, hey, I got this whistleblower thing. I can't do anything with it. Let me share this complaint with you. And they sit down with Atkinson on September 19, 2019. The transcript from that interview consisted mainly of Atkinson explaining the timing of the complaint and his interactions with the Director of National Intelligence, and the basis for the Office of Legal Counsel's conclusion that his office didn't have jurisdiction over this whistleblower's complaint. And she's putting whistleblowers in quotes here because we're not even sure. They play all sorts of games with this whole whistleblower thing. Based on that finding, Atkinson explained he could not share the details of the complaint with HPSCI. So why are you going to them? You can't share the details. Why the hell are you going to them? But basically, he wants to try and push this thing forward. So that's why he went to them. He said, I can't give you the details, but do some digging. While Atkinson refrained from discussing the whistleblower's complaint, leaks to the media revealed the substance of the charge concerned Trump's supposed corrupt call with the Ukrainian president. So all of a sudden now someone's leaking and it's like, oh, we got this whole whistleblower complaint that's going out to the media. Not long after, then House Majority Leader Nancy Pelosi announced she's launching impeachment proceedings against the president. Trump countered by declassifying the transcript. And it's like, look, you can look right at the conversation. Everyone can see it right here. Every word. It was a beautiful call. It was a beautiful call. It was one of the best calls. Everything there was perfect. President Trump countered by declassifying the transcript, memorializing details of his July call with Zelensky, which showed that he made no mention of the 2020 election, didn't otherwise seek to improperly influence the Ukrainian president. Nonetheless, the House still proceeded with the impeachment, with Alexander Vindman serving as a star witness. Vindman had listened to Trump's call with Zelensky in real time. So when that call happened, he's on the phone. I think there were like 12 people on the phone because he was our liaison to Ukraine. So he's on the call. And he's in the Situation Room listening to that call. And he testified about his impressions of that call. It's all very nice, his impressions. We can see exactly what was said. But Vindman was not the whistleblower. So he listened to the call. He's not the whistleblower. According to Real Clear Investigation, the CIA's Eric Ciaramella was the whistleblower. I don't know that's who it is, but that's what Real Clear Investigations is claiming. And here's where the just released transcripts make things interesting. After the House launched the impeachment inquiry into the whistleblower's complaint was made public, Atkinson testified in a second closed-door interview. So first, he goes and talks to them. Then everything gets leaked to the media. And then there's a second closed-door interview. During that October 4, 2019 testimony, Atkinson explained that the whistleblower had provided him with a memorandum of conversation dated July 26, 2019, the day after the call. So someone basically took notes about the call the day after the call. He says, the whistleblower came to me with this. Because the whistleblower, Vindman, this is Cinderella. One of them gave him this memorandum of conversation. That memorandum purported to summarize the conversation the whistleblower had with an unnamed individual Atkinson identified as witness 1. So this is not even about the call. It's about a conversation that the whistleblower has with some person. Atkinson then proceeded to explain that witness 1 had listened to the telephone call in real time. So that means witness 1 is the one who heard the call, not the whistleblower. He just heard about the call from someone on the phone. He's a secondhand source. And he's like, well, this is what I heard about it, which matches up precisely with Vindman. So it seems as if, based on what we have here, Vindman is witness 1. Vindman goes and talks to whistleblower, perhaps someone with the initials EC. And now EC creates this whistleblower report. Atkinson knows this is not even a first-hand source. Yet Atkinson testified that in assessing whether the whistleblower complaint was credible, they never spoke with witness 1. How the hell do you not talk with witness 1 when witness 1 is your source for everything here? The whistleblower knows nothing. Instead, Atkinson testified that they interviewed 2 of the whistleblower's supervisors to assess their perspective of the whistleblower. So I don't need to know. I just need to know, is this a good guy? What? Why? Why? This person knows nothing. They don't. All they know is they had a conversation with someone who was on the phone. The IG office also assessed whether the whistleblower held any bias. Who cares? The person he's talking to might have bias. What are you doing? The IG's office was kicking the wrong car's tires. The so-called whistleblower had no first-hand knowledge of the call. He wasn't on the call. He's merely repeating witness 1 statements. So the only one who matters here is witness 1. Or as the Federalist editor-in-chief put it, Vindman, not whistleblower, was the driving force behind impeachment. But Atkinson didn't speak with Vindman or assess his credibility or bias before finding the whistleblower's complaint was credible. So it's like, oh no, look, he did a really good job of taking down what he heard from someone else. It's still freaking hearsay. Why are you listening to this and starting this whole stupid investigation based on some schmuck? Why is Vindman such a freaking coward that he can't file his own whistleblower reports? Instead, Atkinson's team spoke with 2 of the whistleblower's supervisors and an individual branded witness 2, who reviewed the transcript of the July 29 phone call after the fact. So witness 2 is just someone who read the transcript. Atkinson didn't bother, however, to actually review the transcript himself, which he could have done, before finding the complaint that Trump pressured Ukrainian authorities to investigate his political rivals to interfere with the 2020 election credible. And even when confronted with the declassified transcript of the call, he can see it for himself, a transcript that confirmed Trump made no reference to politics or the election or any supposed quid pro quo. Atkinson maintained that witness 1 and witness 2's claims of misconduct are very credible, very, very credible. You just read what he said. What are they even providing to you? While it continued to claim the whistleblower and other, so the point is there is no whistleblower. A whistleblower is someone who has firsthand knowledge. They come in and say, hey, this is what I saw. I need to get this out there. He literally could have gone to any person and called him Mr. Whistleblower and told him a story over. Then that person files a report. What the hell is going on here? This is not an actual whistleblower claim. Are you understanding this? It's all witness one, which is probably Vindman. So witness one, we're just going to, for the sake of argument, call him Vindman. Vindman just gets on the phone and says, hey, I heard this phone call. I'm going to tell you about this phone call. Now you're going to go file a complaint because you're really angry. You're really, really angry about this phone call. Are you joking? While he continued to claim the whistleblower and the other witnesses were credible, Atkinson acknowledged during his October 2019 HPSCI testimony that the whistleblower was less than forthright when it came to conversations he had with Democrats leading the House Intelligence Committee. Oh, so another great thing about this whistleblower is he's a big fat stinking liar. Atkinson made this admission during a line of questioning from then Representative, now CIA Director John Ratcliffe. Ratcliffe asked Atkinson whether the whistleblower had contact with HSPCI's Democrat majority leaders or their staff. So, did you talk to the Democrat majority leaders? Did the whistleblower talk was the whistleblower in contact with key Democrats in the House? Atkinson's like, I don't know. Ratcliffe said, your investigative team didn't ask the number of times the complainant met with members of the HPSCI before filing a complaint. Like maybe this whole thing was orchestrated by them. They did this whole thing themselves. The Democrats themselves. They just got some schmuck to stand up there and call himself whistleblower. There's no freaking whistleblower at all. Atkinson said, on the urgent disclosure form, there's a question that the complainant is asked about who they've reported the violation to. And one of the boxes is congressional intelligence committees. The complainant didn't check the box. So he lied on a form. The former IG added that our investigators also asked the complainant who knew about the complainant's disclosure, but that the complainant did not identify the congressional intelligence committees. And you still find this guy credible. Then HPSCI Chair Adam Schiff would later be forced to admit that the so-called whistleblower had spoken with committee staff and shared the outlines of supposed charges against Trump. So this whole thing was coordinated. If this is all just Democrats just saying we want to impeach and pretend that there's someone complaining. Once that news broke, Schiff retreated from his promise that Americans would hear from the whistleblower during the impeachment trial, although since Vindman testified, one can say they did because he's their source. The whistleblower doesn't know anything. Vindman's the only one who knows anything. In addition to all the backdoor scheming between the whistleblower, Vindman, Democrats on HSPCI, and through at best his willful ignorance, Atkinson, the transcripts released Monday also highlight the politicization of the FBI that continued under Trump 1.0 after Comey's firing. According to Atkinson, on September 4, 2019, he referred President Trump to the FBI's counterintelligence divisions for investigation of potential violations of campaign finance and other criminal conspiracy laws. But on September 25th, the DOJ announced they had reviewed the official record of the call, and based on facts and applicable law, there was no campaign finance violation and that no further action was warranted. So he's like, well, let's try and call this campaign finance violation. They're like, this isn't a violation. What are you talking about? All relevant components of the department agreed with this legal conclusion. The department has concluded the matter. So first they tried running up the flagpole and saying, maybe this is a campaign finance violation. You're trying to get help against Biden. So it's a campaign finance violation. They're like, this is not what's happening here. Yet on October 2nd, 2019, after the DOJ announced that it concluded the matter, the FBI contacted Atkinson asking for access to our preliminary review files. So someone else is coming in from the FBI and saying, hey, let's get a look at that. We want to take a look at your whole report here. Atkinson further testified that even though he had referred Trump to the FBI's counterintelligence division for investigation, it was not the counterintelligence division that contacted him to get the files. Atkinson refused to reveal which FBI division sought to relaunch an investigation into the president after the DOJ had closed down the probe. DOJ said there's nothing here. And all of a sudden, a new branch of the FBI is coming in here how they even knew about this report, God only knows. All the leaks going on in Washington. So he's like, but some subdivision of the FBI said, give us the files. Given what is starting to come out about the Arctic Frost investigation, the FBI's public corruption division seems a good guess and something worth exploring further. And while Americans may be exhausted by the process, the public needs to recognize the reality that our country faced. As former Congressman Devin Nunes, who served on HPSCI at the time of the first impeachment, said, intelligence bureaucrats attempted a coup against the elected president of the United States and hid what they did for years by burying the evidence with inappropriate classification designations. Quote, it's gratifying to see the truth is finally getting out, Nunes added, noting that besides Monday's declassification, last year saw the declassification of HPSCI's report on the deceptive intelligence community assessment on Russia's purported efforts to influence 2016 election, which we've covered here on this channel, meaning all that entire investigation which came out and said, the intelligence, 17 agencies think that Russia was trying to help Trump win, and yet they were keeping secret all the different dirt that they had on Hillary Clinton. I hope it all leads to an accountability for the conspirators, the former HPSCI chair said. So if it doesn't, may it at least wake Americans up to how the deep state and the complicit media sought to thwart their electoral will. So phenomenal article here from Margot Cleveland where she breaks it down. But I felt like going through and walking you through it together helps better crystallize exactly the wrong that they were doing. Specifically, there was no actual whistleblower. All the talk about whistleblower, there almost certainly was no actual whistleblower. If there was, the whistleblowers didn't know anything that you don't know. All they know is they had a conversation with Vindman. Or if not Vindman, someone else on the phone. But like anything they got out of it is no better than reading a transcript, which 100 million Americans have read that transcript. So all of this is utter nonsense and stupidity. And it's clear that this whole thing was orchestrated by Adam Schiff and his cronies to try and find some sort of empty basis to say, we need to go after Trump when there was no actual whistleblower. I guess Vindman could have been a whistleblower. He just didn't want to be. Maybe they felt that he was more effective if he comes in there and testifies as some third party, even though he's the one who gave all the information to the whistleblower in the first place. So aggravated that schmuck ended up in Congress. I don't even know if it's him or his twin brother. I can't keep those two idiots straight. Bunch of queers, both of them. So I hope that made it a little clearer for you. That's what I do. I try and make things clearer. That was my goal. My earlier complaint echoes even further. The will of people is even more diminished by the will of a single person. How is this even possible? Oh, it just is. It's just this. It's not a great system. What can I tell you? What can I tell you? There's nothing I can tell you. It's just the way. It's just reality. I promised I was, as a little bonus here, that I was going to bring up for you conversation that Viva Fry and Ron Barnes had about yours truly last night. They were talking. My ears were ringing. Someone actually tagged me on X and said, hey, Joe, Ron Barnes talking about you on Viva Fry's channel now. So I went and checked it out. So let's see what he's saying about me. If you're unfamiliar with my little disagreement with Robert Barnes, it wasn't a personal nature. It was just a political / legal disagreement. I'm like, what he's talking about here? It's kind of crazy. But I thought what he was saying was wrong. Specifically, you might recall, it became a big public fodder just to catch you up, just so we're all on the same page. Is it not sedition? I know where some romp is. Yeah, it should be. It should be. Good luck. Good luck. Pam Bondi all over it. I guess now it's Todd Blanche, right? So, just to catch you up. So we're all on the same page. Last week, Robert Barnes went on Alex Jones and was talking 25th Amendment. They're all freaked out about statements that Trump had made about bombing the Iranian civilization into the netherworld. And Alex Jones is like, what do we do to what what would the steps be to the 25th Amendment? This guy. He's like, well, Alex, I'll tell you, it's much harder to remove. It's very hard to remove someone 25th Amendment. You need to get 2/3. All right, that's true. That's true. But he's like, the easiest thing to do is just basically get him to step down. Well, anyhow. And then on Friday, was it Friday? Nope, it wasn't Friday. It was Tuesday. I get very confused because Jewish holidays throw off my whole timing schedule type of thing. Tuesday, while I was driving down, I sent a post out. This is what I sent out. I was responding to something that Robert Barnes wrote, which I was like, I don't know what's happening. I don't know what he's talking about. This is what I sent out. So we're all on the same page. Now I was trying to make clear, this is not a personal attack. I think I want to get back to like a time and place where I could be like, look, your assessment here on the law or on politics, I think is wrong. I might think it's terrible. Still like and respect you. I don't gotta agree with you on everything. So what he had sent out was this. I also felt like he was really bullying Steven Crowder a little bit because he's a lawyer and Crowder isn't. And I was like, I think Steven Crowder could use some counsel here. I'm not a huge Steven Crowder fan, but I like his continued support of Trump. So I think Trump deserves our support. So Robert Barnes wrote, unless you're as legally illiterate as Steven Crowder or Clay Travis, you know Trump's threatened action, if followed, violates established war crimes law. Every soldier and official involved in it could be prosecuted. So I quote tweeted this, and I wrote this. I like and respect Barnes' law. On this story, on this issue, I strongly disagree. If Trump indiscriminately bombs critical Iranian infrastructure, that could and likely would be properly classified as a war crime. So I agree with that. That part is true. You can't just bomb whoever you want to kingdom come. The actual use based on reasonable good faith intelligence reports, meaning the actual use of the infrastructure, the Iranian infrastructure, the actual use of the Iranian infrastructure based on reasonable good faith intelligence reports is critical to a fair assessment of a strike being thoroughly justifiable or a war crime. Barnes issues a sweeping statement on the issue, seemingly devoid of necessary factual context about the use of power plants to be targeted. I mean, he doesn't know which plants are going to be bombed. He doesn't know which bridges are going to be bombed. He's just saying, hey, if you do this, it's a war crime. And I'm like, you don't know what's going to be bombed. You don't know what our intelligence community is telling us about these potential targets. So you can't say when. So who are you talking to when you're saying these people will be prosecuted? That's what's so crazy. He even implied when speaking with Alex Jones that the military should disregard orders and he's echoing the seditious six, which I thought was bonkers. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. He's like basically saying, hey, you swear an oath of allegiance to the Constitution, to uphold the Constitution, not a person. And that's true. That's exactly what the seditious six said. But now let's translate this into what you're telling our military. Like, okay, you're going to go bomb a particular bridge. Why would they think it's a war crime? Not something that the intelligence community is like, hey, we need to do this because the IRGC, it's going to hurt the IRGC, rather than just hurting a couple of goat herders in Iran. Like, so what if you're flying that F-15? You're supposed to sit here trying to decide whether it's a war crime or not, and you're basically echoing the seditious six, saying, "Hey, you can't go bombing them because it's a potential war crime, and Trump and you can be prosecuted for doing it." because you're not allowed to follow him for that. You have to uphold the Constitution, not the president. And if he's telling you to do a war crime, it's your duty to turn away from him. That's what Mark Kelly said. That's what Melissa Slotkin said, and a bunch of other clowns. So now you're echoing that. But tell me, Robert. I mean this with respect. Go talk to that fighter pilot and tell me you're going to tell him, no, don't bomb that bridge that you were ordered to bomb, because you have enough information to make a good faith assessment as to whether or not this is a proper strategic attack on the IRGC or it's a war crime attack on civilians. How? That's why I follow up by saying these claims are troubling. Understand this. My language here, I didn't have to quote tweet this, but I was like, no, I'm not letting this sit out there. I was going to the last days of my Jewish holiday. I was like, I really don't like this sitting out there. This is a terrible message out there. I want our military to understand if there's one person out there who ends up following me, maybe he follows LawTube and he follows Robert Barnes and he follows me. It's very possible that they should understand that this claim that Robert Barnes is making is untrue. It's just not right. Whatever information we, the public, have about the real use of targeted infrastructure is almost certainly less informed than the intel available at the highest level of American governance. Let's imagine we see a bridge, and this bridge looks as if it's just used to transport goats over a river. Does that mean that's what it's actually used for? No. To you, me, Robert Barnes, and anyone here in America, and perhaps many Iranians, that's what its main function is. That's what its only function is. But perhaps the IRGC is using that on some other basis to, I don't know, transport goods or whatever. So I wouldn't know that. You wouldn't know that. Robert Barnes wouldn't know that. The guy flying an F-15 directed to bomb it wouldn't know that. Is he supposed to say, oh, no, this is just a goat bridge? I shouldn't bomb that? How the hell can he make that assessment? How can anyone make that assessment? Because, you know, if you're going to rely on a claim from a terrorist that power plant X is purely for civilian use, seems hopelessly foolish. How are you going to come to that assessment? Oh, this is IRGC hands-off power plant. What are you kidding me? How would you possibly be able to make? How can you possibly have the same level of information that the elites of the intelligence community have? You can't have that information. You shouldn't have access to it. Accordingly, the breadth of Barnes' pre-strike claim, based on our limited information of what will be struck and what the target is actually used for, makes the statement sound legally farcical. His advice to our military, most of whom would not and should not have access to the intel provided to upper echelon officials, seems imprudent and dangerous. He's advising them to stand down because they're committing a war crime. So that sounds to me imprudent and dangerous. So while I would agree with you that in theory, if he's just willy-nilly blowing up the entire country, that could qualify as a war crime. In practice, when it's being carried out, there's no way any individual fighter pilot, there's no way any member of our military who's actually executing the order would or should have knowledge that this particular strike is a war crime and not an actual good faith attack on an enemy combatant or their sustenance. So why would you go out there and tell our military that? That to me sounds like a terrible, terrible idea. It sounds un-American to me, honestly. I was really bothered by it. I was like, how do you tell our military that? That's crazy. That's what Mark Kelly did. I thought it was terrible. So, and I meant it when I said I like Robert Barnes. I do. I meant it when I said I respect Robert Barnes. But just as far as to the extent that we have a responsibility to give out healthy advice to our listeners, healthy suggestions, healthy approach, so that they are better informed when they go out into the world, to the extent that there are any military out there who actually follow us, whether they're flying, whether they're, particularly if they're deployed in Iran, I felt it's incumbent upon us to give them accurate information and not just have them second guess whether or not they're committing a war crime, which they wouldn't even know it if they were. It'd be something you'd find out afterwards, but they wouldn't have the knowledge or forethought to actually come to a conclusion that this is a war crime. So why would you be discouraging them from following orders as they should? Because you must follow. It's true that you make an oath to uphold the Constitution, but your duty is, but your assumption, the default is that every order that's given to you is constitutional. So I was very bothered by that. Yesterday,
ladies and gentlemen,
Viva had Robert Barnes on, as they do their Viva Barnes show, and they do an entertaining show. They're both very smart people.
Gentlemen of the interwebs, we're going to play a record.
So, how can I get this thing to? At a certain point, he actually brings up my page. Did I miss it? I missed it. All right, let's do it this way. If I pull this up on, let me pull this up on Chrome. I find it faster.
Is priced globally. So
Let's assume that they're going to spell out logic. There it is.
he's serious about this. And Mark Levin was out there talking about, hey, it took nuclear bombs to get rid of Japan, so you probably got to do the same thing. So that's where talk was of nuclear weapon use. And said if he's actually serious about that, then he needs to be removed, and at least for some period of time. As he said,
This is what he wrote. A whole civilization will die tonight, never be brought back again. I don't want that to happen, but probably will. However, now that we have complete and total regime change, where different, smarter, and less radicalized minds prevail, maybe something revolutionary, wonderful can happen. Who knows? We'll find out tonight. One of the most important moments in the long, complex history of the world. 47 years of extortion.
whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. I know, and we'll get into the debate that Joe Neerman, and others had on this argument. But Alex and I's point was, if he really means this, if this is his actual intention, a genocidal intent to mass murder all the people of Iran, then not only is that an incredible war crime, but it would be a disaster for the world. Iran would have retaliated and taken out all the water desalination and power plants and oil and energy throughout the entire Gulf. You know, a third of the world's oil and gas would be gone for 5 to 10 to 20 years. This would be a third of the world's fertilizer would be gone, third of the world's.
We can go with something much simpler. You'd be butchering millions of people. You know, you talk about the repercussion. You're butchering millions of people. I mean, how monstrous could you get if, in fact, that's what he was genuinely talking about doing?
Helium that's critical for making chips would be gone. If he was serious, that was the X factor. But what we were laying out was
if he's serious. Okay.
Was serious, then he needs to be removed. People around him will know, is he really serious or is this just hot air? But if he was serious, he absolutely needed to be removed from making that decision, because that would have been devastating for the entire world, independent of what you think about his genocidal intent that comes with that statement.
I will.
Who actually took this seriously, though? No, really. Like, who took this seriously? When have we ever seen Trump try to make an emphatic point and not engage in incredible hyperbole. I remember, the gotcha leftists going out there and saying things like, Trump said that at his inaugural buffet, the hamburgers were piled a mile high, but they were actually only 3 feet high. It's like, yeah, that's Trump. That's how he talks. So why are we pretending to be leftists now that we don't understand Trump speak at all? Hey, you voted for him 3 times, I assume. I'd bet anything. I'd be shocked if Robert Barnes did not vote for Trump 3 times. You tell me you haven't heard him say all sorts of things that, like, if taken literally, would be insane, and that he's never done any of these insane things. But now we're assuming that this insane thing is what he means. So what is the utility in saying if he actually means this, and then trying to hide behind that as if like the rest of the statement really matters, when anyone who's obsessing him in good faith knows he does not mean that literally? I thought there was zero chance. Some people were talking about him dropping nukes on Iran. I was like, that would be insane. And there's no way in hell that is something he's even thinking about for a minute. And I think you have to actually be beyond belief to think that that's what he's actually saying he's going to do. Given you've seen him now spend 5.5 years serving as president of the United States. Have you seen him do anything quite so insane? Or anything in the same ballpark? He's engaged in countless international affairs, used our military in countless international affairs. And thank God, despite win after win after win, we have lost fewer, I think, than 10 Americans combined. It's just a remarkable examples from this man of being protective of human life, first and foremost, Americans. Don't tell me you don't think there are any Americans there in Iran. But, withholding from bombing people into oblivion. This is why people were calling him the man of peace. So you think all of a sudden now he's just going to snap and drop nuclear weapons? Or leave people without water? Leave millions of people without water? Come on. Like, it's like, let's not pretend, just because I know you don't like this war, but let's not pretend that you actually believe that he's going to do something like that. And if you don't believe he's going to do something like that, why are you telling our military to disregard him?
Well, Steelman, for those who are not here, the argument was when he said civilization, he meant government, Robert, and you're not supposed to take his words literally. Ironically enough, at a moment when everyone was taking your words literally, when I've known you a long time and you've frequently used, it's a metaphor that I wouldn't use, but you say when dealing with Trump, you have to, well, I can't imitate your voice like I can Alex, but you always say like, he's got to be smacked in the face. You got to get up there, not say yes, not be passive. You got to get in his face. And I always know that you mean it metaphorically. And here, you didn't use the word coup, but it's you and Alex Jones bantering about how to 25th the president, and you specifically said it's harder to 25th.
Yeah, 25th Amendment. All these people that are talking about that, even if you support that, I know there's plenty of people who don't support any of that and are still fully with the president. But even if you thought that was the remedy, it's not a practical remedy. I see all these people talking about it. You have to get a majority of the cabinet. You have to get 2/3 of the House of Representatives. You have to get 2/3 of the Senate. You have to meet the evidentiary standard that he's incompetent and incapable of executing his duties as president. Whereas with impeachment, you don't need any cabinet member to support it. You only need a majority of the House. The House has to only find probable cause, not his guilt. And then you only need 2/3 of the Senate. So people that keep talking about, I get where they're coming from colloquially. They think Trump has lost it. But so I get why they think that's the appropriate one. But it's not anybody talking about the 25th is wasting their time. If you think that Trump is a risk or a danger, from a legal perspective, the only constitutional remedy is impeachment. The only practical constitutional remedy is impeachment. The 25th really is. The 25th is really intended for when the president is truly not able to speak, not able to make decisions, things of that nature, because he, under the 25th Amendment, is allowed to contest it. and that removes its efficacy very quickly. And then the question is whether now if Trump was actually serious, then now I was obviously, do I expect JD Vance to have execute a foreign tackle? You got to get low. You got to get low. He was trained. JD was trained in this high school, so you got to get low. You boom, you come in, hit to the midsection, carry him all the way down. Obviously, that's an exaggeration. The point is that Vance and others needed to, and Vance did step up, and he got the ceasefire by his direct negotiations with Pakistan, through Pakistan with Iran. And
all right, he's about to come back to me again.
And so to his credit, he stepped up because I know a lot of people, we'll get into the legal debate on the war crimes issue in a second. A lot of people assume that the president didn't mean that at all, didn't intend that he was going to actually eliminate all, and Steven Crowder's defense was the same.
Actually, let me stop. Yeah. Just even Steven Crowder's defense, and I did watch it with Piers Morgan, even his defense was, he shouldn't have tweeted it. I mean, that was even his defense from Steven Crowder. And that's my point. Is like, if people have to interpret whether or not it was actually genocidal or not, like, and people say it was not genocide. If this was not meant to be taken literally, the fact that people have to actually have that discussion publicly is not a good thing. And people saying, well, it's good for negotiation.
Literally how he's been president for since 2017. This is how he's been doing things since 2017. All of a sudden now, like we're pretending that this is like a brand new Trump. The only difference is you don't like what he's saying now. You don't like the direction that he's going. This is literally everything he's been doing. So I don't know where you're coming from on this. You're saying he shouldn't be saying this. There's a lot of things he shouldn't have said on social media. Well, a million things. How many times has he said things that you're just sort of like, oh my gosh, really? Really, Donald? He does that. Literally, that's how he's been president. So you're saying he shouldn't be saying it. Okay. I mean, this happens all the time. I also think, by the way, I think he means radical fundamentalists. I don't know if he means government. I think he means radical fundamentalists.
Negotiations because he's a loose cannon. No, it's not. Period. So I never took it literally. I thought it was an ill-advised tweet, but even Steven Crowder, I'm not trying to throw.
I'm saying you didn't take it literally, and I'm sure Robert Barnes didn't take it literally. I'm sure neither of you took it. No, so who is taking it literally that we're addressing this as if it was meant literally?
Throw Crowder under the bus in his absence. Even his defense was, it was a bad tweet. I probably should have done it, but he wasn't going to.
And a good example is Good Logic, similarly. So Good Logic laid out his defense, and he agreed with me that if Trump meant this, intended this, that he intended to take out all the power plants, that he intended to take out all the bridges, that he intended to destroy the civilization, that if that's what he actually intended, if his words are to be interpreted either literally or seriously, either way.
I didn't say that, but let's go on.
Way, he admitted that would be a war crime of extraordinary proportion.
I said it'd be a war crime. And I don't want him committing war crimes. I don't know if I qualify as extraordinary proportion or whatever, so I'll let him go on that. But yeah, it would be a war crime if in fact he's targeting civilians to try and harm civilians. That's a war crime. That's what makes it a war crime.
My cousin was up for the Amos Miller birthday event, and he said, Barnes, you don't understand. BB.
That is my page. In case you haven't visited recently, that's my page. You should like and subscribe today. If you haven't yet, make sure you like and subscribe.
Netanyahu, or Belzebibi, or Bibi Netanyahu, depending on the various nicknames that are coming up, people are coming up for him. He's not against genocide. He's against the wrong people getting genocided. He's explaining that provision. But
he's going through my channel. Viva's digging around.
In his X post, Joe Neerman, Good Logic, is a very different interpretation of the war than I do, of course. But his point was not that this wasn't a war crime. His point was he did not take Trump either seriously or literally on this post.
That's one part of my point. That's one point. There was multiple parts to my point. So that's true. I didn't. And I don't think you did either.
That in his view, and this was the most common defense, Steven Crowder made this defense, many others in the Trump camp.
But it's not simply that it shouldn't be taken literally. It's that your advice echoing the seditious six that you gave to Alex Jones, cautioning our military that they are potentially engaging in a war crime is dangerous.
Now we're honest. Now you've got, you can read expos that are disturbing. You're starting to see Paramount Tactical is saying this kind of stuff. Other people are saying we're back to like post 9/11 stuff, saying, everybody who's Islamic should die. We're seeing very disturbing stuff from the margins, not good logic.
No, I know for sure. But one of the things, and one of the psyop theories that some people have been floating is this is an attempt to shift the Overton window to what would otherwise be acceptable. Well, people are going to say, well, it's not nuking an entire country, so therefore whatever else we do is a step better, and therefore it's like sensitizing people to what would otherwise been conceptually impossible or untenable, unacceptable beforehand. Sorry, so yeah, go on.
Yeah, so there's no question any of that would be a war crime. So they reinterpreted what Trump was saying to mean.
I'm not reinterpreting. I'm giving an interpretation that on any other issue, you would give the same interpretation as me. You just don't like the direction that he's going. But this is not a reinterpretation. This is Trump. I'm simply telling you the same thing that I've been telling you about Trump for the last 5.5 years of him sitting in the White House.
Was that he would only target this is called the dual use doctrine that the United States follows. Now, some people were comparing this to World War II. They don't understand. We ourselves in our own military academies say that what happened in the firebombing of Dresden, in the firebombing of Tokyo by Curtis, bombs away LeMay, as he was called, that those were war crimes and that those are war crimes. LeMay himself said they were war crimes. So people using that say, oh no, look at these other war crimes that have been done in the past. So that must make this okay. That's not a good argument. Instead, the argument is a dual use argument. And the argument is that Trump would in fact limit the use of the military weaponry to target only those targets that have military utility, hence the word dual use. Now, the problem there is even under our own doctrine, but also various conventions and treaties that we have signed, including the Hague Convention, certain Hague Conventions, and certain Geneva Conventions, because there are many versions of many different conventions, first, second, third, fourth, so on and so forth. But those have also been incorporated in the United States federal law under the War Crimes Act. And what those require is proportionality and necessity. So the mere fact that something can be used militarily does not make it a legally legitimate target under U.S. law, as well as international customs and norms to which we are party to as a treaty signatory, which makes it the binding.
But again, how is any individual member of our military supposed to interpret and apply this? This is the problem that I have. Like I said, okay, first and foremost, I think that everyone in the room here, everyone you see on screen this moment, all three of us are under agreement that Trump did not mean it literally, that there was no way in hell he's going to be nuking people. There's no way he literally was going to be bombing a civilization into no longer existing. Not me, not Viva, not Robert Barnes. All three of us knew that. And the implication that he was, I don't think I think it's designed to attack Trump, to sort of pretend that that's what he meant, when you know it's not true. But that, okay, fine. I understand you don't like what he's doing in the war here, and you want to try and attack him. So, okay, that's fine. That's the direction you want to go. That's your prerogative. I disagree with it, but that could be, you're free to have that prerogative. What troubles me and what got me upset was the message to our military of you follow the Constitution, not President Trump. Because there's no way to apply that when you're actually flying an F-15 or any other military vehicle. There's no way for you to know what the status is and what the reality is. And you might think that this is something that looks like it's innocuous and it's not something that's being used in the military, and it could be something that's critical for the military. And your job could be really, really important, even if it just looks like a goat bridge. You don't know. There's no way you could know. So what are you telling our military? Why are you urging our military to disregard and potentially risk American lives and their own court-martialing for wrongfully coming to the conclusions coming to the inaccurate conclusions that this is something that is a war crime. So I think having this sort of conversation is designed to demoralize. If it's not designed, I'm not going to accuse him of being designed to demoralize. I think that that's a bit harsh. But I think it very obviously could have the impact. I think when the Democrats doing it, there's a purposeful objective to demoralize the military. I think that over here, it is recklessly dangerous in potentially demoralizing our military, that they could be involved in a war crime. And that's not something that you ever should be doing to men and women out in the field. I mean, that's a terrible thing to do. So it's not simply, I think he's looking, and I'll give him I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt here that he's not looking to go to war with me, and I'm not looking to go to war with him. I'm looking to just share my opinion. And but so perhaps he's categorizing me as being more in league with his opinion on this than I feel I am. Because I do think that I diverge very strongly about the idea of discouraging our military by planting seeds that this is potentially a war crime. Because there's no way any member of our military would ever know that this particular strike they're about to engage in is proper dual use or not, is a proper strike or potentially a war crime. So I think it's wrong to plant that seed in the minds of our military. I think it's dangerous and it shouldn't have been done. I think he should retract it. Is there any more of me in this? There is more of me. I do come back. I make another appearance. I didn't see this next one. Is there more? Oh, wow, it goes on. Oh, this is logical. Oh my gosh. Okay, no, I got it. Okay. Thought it was. Yeah,
that's why Alex Jones was hearing this from a whole bunch of people connected to the White House. And he was hearing it for 2 weeks. And he didn't want to believe it. And then when he saw Trump post those kind of things and realized if he's serious about this, this is incredibly dangerous to the whole world. That's why he came out public. And he knew he had to do it aggressively to give people some political cover in the White House, which Vance used to be able to get a ceasefire so that Trump didn't push his finger on the wrong button at 8 o'clock this last Monday night. So people don't know what the backstory is, but assume that a guy who has given up and sacrificed for his support of Trump as much as Alex Jones has, that he's not going to do this for any reason other than it's his sincere belief. You may think his sincere belief, like my disagreement with Good Logic is, did Trump mean it? Did Trump intend it? Would Trump have done it? That's what we have an empirical disagreement. We don't.
It doesn't go back to the initial, should he have posted it, period. And I want to just bring this up. This is in our community. We have diverging thought in our community. John Weirdahl says he wasn't serious. Barnes knows he wasn't serious. It doesn't matter if he wasn't serious, and it doesn't matter if Barnes in his heart of hearts believed that he wasn't serious. He said something which, if he were serious, even Jan is acknowledging would have been a problem. That's the problem.
Right. That's part. And I did believe he was serious, to be clear. I understand people.
Really? Really? Wow. Why? Why would you come? Okay.
Disagree with me, but I have very good reasons to believe that. And I know that the very, very good reasons from people and people that have been on the Bourbons with Beaver Barnes Law would not be surprised, because I was long before the Iran war came about. I was talking about this in January after I was up at the White House up in DC and heard from a wide range of people that the early steps were here, where he was starting to lose it. He was starting to slip, and mentally and emotionally. I mean, you see him starting to go on about how we're going to have a new conquest and, you know, the kind of things that maybe you think in the back of your mind, but you don't overtly and openly say. But yet, and if people that disagree with me, I understand that's fine to disagree.
Why did I freeze? Oh no, what's going on? Uh-oh. Oh, that's not good. I just froze. Why is it doing this? Oh, there we go. I froze there. So I think that covers him talking about me. So there you go. I'm shocked that he said that he really thought that he meant it. If he's going to be bluffing, of course he's going to be he's going to make it look like that. All right, let me catch up on some chats and get on out of here, because that does cover them talking about me. Barnes is acting like someone who was betting inside info on the prediction markets he's so fond of, got cut off, and now is severely butthurt. Look, I'm not going to speculate about why he's coming to the conclusions that he's coming to. The only crime in war is losing. I'm anti-Iran action only because I feel our political leaders don't have the political will to see it through to the end. Interesting. I'm more bewildered by Barnes' Jew derangement syndrome. Thinks Walls used Trump for Israeli advancement. He sounds like Fuentes and Vivas seem to agree. I don't really sense a Jew derangement syndrome from him. I do think that he doesn't like Israel. He's actually one of the few people I've ever heard who I do think makes a distinction between Israel and Jews. He's like a unicorn. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt on that one and respectfully disagree with you. I understand why people come to this conclusion, but I have no reason to assume that he hates Jews. I do think he hates Israel. I think that people have developed an Israel derangement syndrome. And while 99 out of 100 people who have Israel derangement syndrome, I think on some level have like a Jew thing behind it, I've never sensed that from Robert Barnes at all. So I don't believe that. I'll have to like actually see something to come to that conclusion, and I've never seen anything remotely of the kind. So I'm definitely I'm not jumping to that conclusion, Karen. That post was a very public negotiating tactic to Iran leaders. It was meant to make them freak out and mimic their public threats of 47 years. Yes, exactly. That's why he was doing it. He wanted them to freak out. It was a bluff. Barnes thinks he's heterodox, but just kidding. I don't know. I'm just saying, I think I broke down. I think I made clear where we disagree. Duckfat says Alex Jones has already signaled that what his and Barnes' out will be. They will say this crazy crap to convince Trump to change his position. Therefore, they're only bombastic to sway Trump, never wrong. I do feel as if it does feel like there's openings that they leave. I feel that I've seen. I don't know. I'll let you all draw your own conclusions on that. I'll let you all draw your own conclusions. And that's what I got for you tonight. I thank you all for joining me. It's time for me to start landing my plane. I'm 3 hours and 18 minutes in here, and it's time. So I thank you all for joining me. God willing, I hope to be back here tomorrow evening at 10 p.m. Until then, I'm going to urge you to make sure that you remember lab meat was never meant for you. It is meant for they, them. Why would you even be going down that road? Eisenberg also says you need to feed your squirrels more. They're complaining about the power generation. Yes, I'll get to work on that. I will get to work on that. And I'll also get to work on making sure that everyone in the world knows, do not eat the bugs. Don't do it. Don't even think about it. Just don't touch it. It's just not worth it. It's never worth it. Don't do it. Have a good night, everyone. And as always, Godspeed.